Chapter 1989. He actually escaped. Yang Hongwu was surprised. The arrogant Tian Sha was actually going to leave just like that. Moreover, he was so fast that it was shocking. Want to leave? Impossible. Come back. At this moment, a voice came from the void and a figure appeared. With a grab of his hand, he grabbed Tian Sha's real spirit and brought it back to him. It was none other than Berserker. More accurately, it was a clone of Berserker. Kuang Zhan's original body was still suppressing Tian Sha's original body. Naturally, it could only be a clone. If Kuang Zhan's original body came and Tian Sha broke the seal, Kuang Zhan would not have enough strength to capture him. Damn it! The Tian Sha's true spirit was very unwilling to be captured, but there was nothing he could do. Even if you captured me, so what? Killing your true spirit will save me a lot of trouble, Berserker said. It's a pity that the Sky Demon Dao sword still escaped. In truth, Berserker had come for the Sky Demon Dao sword. However, he had not expected the Sky Demon Dao sword to escape. Although the Sky Demon Dao sword had not awakened its treasure spirit, it was still very strong and had a strong consciousness. The moment Berserker appeared, the Tian Sha and the Sky Demon Dao sword sensed him. In truth, the Sky Demon Dao sword was too strong. Even after being sealed by Zhiga and having its treasure spirit almost destroyed, it was still so strong. You want the Sky Demon Dao sword? That's impossible, the Tian Sha said coldly. Once my emperor awakens, you will definitely die, and you'll be the first, followed by your master, Zhiga. If you know what's good for you, you'd best release me now and send me to Zhiga. If you leave this Zhiga divine palace, I can ask my emperor to let you live. You're dreaming. You want Zhiga to wake up and come back to life? That's impossible. Berserker coldly said, you'd better give up and stay here obediently. If you anger my master, you'll probably be refined like the heavenly demon emperor. Normally, they would be scattered in this world and become nutrients for this world. Nutrients? Tian Sha sneered, what a joke. Your master doesn't have the time or energy to deal with us. If he had the ability, he would have killed us long ago. In fact, Kuang Zhan was also very curious about this. Why had his master completely suppressed the heavenly demon emperor and scattered his physical body into this world? Why had he left the heavenly demon emperor behind and not the heavenly demon emperor? What about killing? At this moment, Yang Hongwu walked over. Thank you, senior. There's no need for that. Mad Warrior looked at Yang Hongwu and said, I'll leave this guy to you. After saying that, Mad Warrior threw the Sky Fiend's true spirit to Yang Hongwu and turned to leave. Yang Hongwu didn't care. He knew clearly in his heart the main purpose of Kuang Zhan's visit. In fact, Yang Hongwu had also guessed that this guy had been here for a long time. He had already arrived when he was being suppressed. He did not make a move, forcing him to use his trump card. This was most likely Mad Warrior's intention. He wanted to see his trump card. Helpless, really helpless. However, for Yang Hongwu, his purpose of entering the Black Fiend Abyss had been accomplished. He had also obtained the last fragment of the dimensional boat. The 3 fragments of the dimensional boat were now complete. What he had to do now was to fuse the 3 fragments together to form the real dimensional boat. How do you think I should deal with you now? Yang Hongwu looked at Tian Sha and asked. It could be said that this fellow hated him to the bone. Consider yourself lucky this time. Tian Sha looked coldly at Yang Hongwu and said, however, just you wait. You will soon die without a burial place. I said that I won't let you go. You can't escape. After saying that, Tian Sha's incarnation turned into a wisp of green smoke. This wisp of green smoke instantly condensed into a seal. This seal sank into Yang Hongwu's head in a breath, leaving him no time to react. It was so fast that he was caught off guard. Generally speaking, a cultivator's reaction speed was very fast. However, this wasn't something that could be blocked with just reaction speed. This was the power of Tian Sha's curse. Tian Sha was a Dao Lord expert. Although this was only an incarnation of his true spirit, his strength was not to be underestimated. Moreover, this secret technique consumed a lot of Tian Sha's energy. This seal directly consumed his true spirit. A true spirit contained a terrifying amount of power, and it was extremely powerful. If this cursed seal could be dodged, it wouldn't be the cursed seal of a Tao Lord expert. Only a Tao Lord expert would be able to dodge such a cursed seal at such a high price. However, if caught off guard, even a Tao Lord expert would be unable to dodge it. There was no way to avoid it. Young master, what is this? Tai Talong looked worriedly at Yang Hongwu and asked, Are you all right? Yang Hongwu shook his head. I'm fine. You don't have to worry. I won't die. Yang Hongwu knew why Tai Talong was so concerned about him. This guy was worried that if something happened to him, he would die too. However, the current problem was very troublesome. Yang Hongwu had no way to deal with the seal at the moment. He needed time. After all, this was the seal of a Tao Lord expert. How could it be so simple? Yang Hongwu felt that this seal wouldn't cause too much damage to him. After all, he was strong enough. More importantly, his physical body was strong enough. How domineering was the immortal dragon body? In addition, Yang Hongwu's cultivation technique was not as simple as the immortal dragon body. It was an enhanced version that was boundlessly domineering. Therefore, even if the seal condensed by Tian Sha's incarnation of his true spirit was extremely powerful, it wouldn't cause too much damage to Yang Hongwu. Unless Tian Sha used it himself, it would be enough to deal a fatal blow to Yang Hongwu. However, it was definitely far from enough. However, Yang Hongwu wasn't worried about this. The seal that Tian Sha had left on him was actually equivalent to a special trace. With this trace, Tian Sha could find Yang Hongwu's location and even directly teleport to the void. Teleporting to his location through the void? If that was the case, he would be in big trouble. Chapter 1990. Sir, are we leaving the Black Fiend Abyss now? Tai Talong asked. Here Yang Hongwu had already gotten out of his predicament. Moreover, he had already gotten what he wanted. Therefore, he was not far from freedom. He really wanted to leave now and ask Yang Hongwu to set him free. But that was because he knew very well that Yang Hongwu wouldn't let him go so easily. As for taking him away from this world and the lands of Heavenspan, the chances of that happening weren't very high. We have to leave. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes and said. But in fact, it was not easy to leave now. They were being watched. Perhaps it was because of the cursed seal. At this moment, there were terrifying auras around them. These terrifying auras belonged to some of the powerful beasts in the Black Fiend Abyss. The strongest among them was at the peak of the half-step Tao Lord realm. What was worse was that there were several powerful and domineering auras rushing in this direction. Yang Hongwu was extremely depressed. Young master, this doesn't look good. I have a bad premonition. Shanghai Guanyue said, We have to leave this place first. Otherwise, I'm afraid we'll be in big trouble. That's right, sir. I have the same feeling too. Tai Talong said. He did not want to be left in the Black Fiend Abyss. After all, the Black Fiend Abyss was too strange. Even though he had seen the Tao Lord Realm experts and Yang Hongwu's strength, the Black Fiend Abyss was still very strange. It's not a premonition. Trouble is already here. It'll be difficult for us to escape this time. Yang Hongwu frowned and said, Not good. Sir, there are two powerful auras over there. Those are the abyssal demon scorpions. Tai Talong's face changed drastically. Those were the abyssal demon scorpions. These were the same abyssal demon scorpions that gave them a headache earlier. They were in big trouble now. Of course, before this, they still had an expert, Yi Tianxing. Now that Yi Tianxing was killed, Yang Hongwu had also consumed a lot of energy. After all, he had just experienced a very powerful battle. These two bastards actually caught up. Yang Hongwu also felt a headache. However, if it were only these two abyssal magic scorpions, then Yang Hongwu wouldn't be particularly worried. However, the key problem was that it wasn't just these two abyssal magic scorpions. There was an endless stream of fierce beasts rushing towards this place. They all seemed to be coming for him. Young master, what do we do now? Tai Talong asked. That Daolor Berserker is too unreliable. He said that he would help us deal with the two abyssal scorpions, but he didn't do it. Now, the two abyssal scorpions have caught up. After all, Tao Lord Crazy Battle had promised Yang Hongwu and the others that he would kill the two abyssal demon scorpions as long as they helped him repair the seal formation. However, the abyssal demon scorpions had not been killed yet and were now chasing after them. We can't do that. Yang Hongwu shook his head. Tao Lord Crazy Battle didn't promise us that he would kill the two abyssal demon scorpions. Moreover, he has already captured the true spirit of Sky Sha, which could be considered as helping us. If it wasn't for him, Sky Sha wouldn't have been dealt with so easily. Yang Hongwu was very clear about this. Although Yang Hongwu had the upper hand in the previous battle, the combined power of Sky Sha and Sky Demon Dao Sword was too strong. He might not be able to deal with them completely. If this continued, who knew what other trump cards Sky Sha had? Moreover, the Sky Demon Dao Sword didn't seem to have fully unleashed its power. According to Yang Hongwu's investigation of Yi Tianxing's memories, the Sky Demon Dao Sword was very powerful. Even if it hadn't recovered, it was still very terrifying. If Sky Sha could open the space world of the Sky Demon Dao Sword, it would be very powerful. If Sky Sha could do that, he would be able to summon endless sky demons to help him. That way, he wouldn't be able to resist at all. Sky within the demonic Dao Sword, there was a powerful spatial world. Within this spatial world, there were countless powerful heavenly demons. There were simply too many of them to kill. Although back then, the Sky Demon Emperor had suffered heavy casualties in his battle with Zhige. However, after so many years, the experts of the Sky Demon Tribe in the spatial world of the Sky Demon Dao Sword might have recovered. Clang! Of course, this was just Yang Hongwu's guess. However, the possibility of this was very high. In reality, Yang Hongwu was very curious. Why couldn't the Sky Demon Dao Sword break the seal and come into direct contact with Sky Sha's real body? If Sky Sha's real body and the Sky Demon Dao Sword worked together, their power wouldn't be so simple. But although the seal was strong, if Sky Sha's real body and the Sky Demon Dao Sword worked together, the seal would be difficult to block. Sky Sha should have enough power to use the Sky Demon Dao Sword to break the seal. Moreover, if you say his name here, he should be able to sense it, Yang Hongwu said. Shanghai Guanyue's expression changed slightly. If Mad Battle Dao Lord was angry, she wouldn't be able to stop him. No, generally speaking, when one's strength reached that level, they wouldn't be so petty. Shanghai Guanyue was worried, but not afraid. Young master, what should we do now? Tai Talong looked at Yang Hongwu. Do we fight, or do we leave? Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes. At this moment, the abyssal demon scorpion had already arrived. Human, one of them said, we've finally found you. Yang Hongwu looked at the abyss scorpion. I'm curious. How did you know my location? Is it because of the seal? Human, I didn't expect you to have a seed planted in you. As long as we kill you and devour your seed, we can obtain the Black Fiend Demon God Supreme Legacy and obtain the Black Fiend Godly Sword. We'll become the ruler of this Black Fiend Abyss and rule over this part of the world. The Abyss Scorpion stared at Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu was taken aback. However, he soon understood. To these guys, the so-called Black Fiend Godly Sword was probably the Sky Demon Dao Sword. As for the Black Fiend Demon God's Supreme Legacy, it was probably Sky Sha's legacy or Sky Demon Emperor's legacy. Perhaps. As for what kind of legacy it was, he didn't know. But one thing was for sure. These guys must have been attracted by the aura of the seal on him. Chapter 1991. See, Yang Hongwu said coldly. You're too naive. Besides, we've been tricked. So what? Even if we've been tricked, it doesn't matter. Human, you must die today. The abyssal scorpion roared and charged at Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu waved his hand and activated the formation again. This time, the formation blocked the abyssal scorpion's attack. Despicable human brat, I've underestimated you. As expected of the one who was planted with the seed, the abyssal scorpion kept attacking and roaring. However, your formation can't stop me. The abyssal scorpion kept attacking the formation. Yang Hongwu frowned. At this moment, they were surrounded by a group of powerful beasts. Let's go. Yang Hongwu crushed the teleportation talisman. Suddenly, A ray of light covered the three of them. The three of them disappeared. In the next moment, Yang Hongwu and the others appeared on top of a mountain. The spiritual qi on this mountain was thin, and there wasn't any powerful aura. However, it was still quite a distance away from where they were just now. Young Master, did we avoid them? Tai Tulong heaved a sigh of relief. They were surrounded by a large number of beasts. That feeling was very unpleasant. Those beasts were all peak sovereigns and half-step Dao Lords. Moreover, there were so many of them that it was shocking. Anyone who was targeted by such a group of terrifying, ferocious beasts would tremble in fear. Unless one's strength had reached the Dao Lord realm, who would have the confidence to resist them? Not yet. Yang Hongwu shook his head. At this moment, several powerful auras locked onto them from all directions. They could vaguely sense that there were even more powerful auras coming from afar. These ferocious beasts can find my location because of the curse imprint on me, Yang Hongwu said. Young Master, what should we do? Shanhai Guanyu asked worriedly. If this continued, only death would await them. Young Master, we should just leave the Black Fiend Abyss, right? Although those ferocious beasts are powerful, they shouldn't be able to escape from the Black Fiend Abyss, Tai Tulong said. The Black Fiend Abyss was filled with danger and countless powerful beasts. However, only a few of them were able to leave the Black Fiend Abyss. Moreover, half-step Dao Lord-level beasts were unable to leave the Black Fiend Abyss. Perhaps the Heaven-span continent had already been occupied by these ferocious beasts. Yang Hongwu shook his head. It's impossible. In fact, Yang Hongwu also wanted to leave the Black Fiend Abyss directly, but he found that this seal was too special. Once he left the Black Fiend Abyss, it would be the same as leaving with the Sky Fiend's true spirit. This true spirit could be directly resurrected. At that time, the heaven emanations could use the natural source of the heavenly ascension lands to restore themselves. In this way, he could leave the heaven-span continent directly, but the entire continent would be plunged into great danger. Under normal circumstances, Yang Hongwu wouldn't care. However, he had his son, Yang Hongwu, on the heaven-span continent. Now, Yang Tianjun would never be willing to leave with him. Yang Hongwu knew this very well. If he left, the Sky Fiend Seal will be able to trace his bloodline and find Yang Tianjun to exact revenge. This was what Yang Hongwu was most worried about. The power of this curse mark was too strange. Yang Hongwu wasn't willing to take the risk of leaving the Black Fiend Abyss before completely resolving the seal. Moreover, Yang Hongwu knew that even if he left the Black Fiend Abyss, this seal would attract the pursuit of the heavenly monster bloodline. Any ferocious beast with the heavenly monster bloodline would be able to sense the existence of this seal and could even directly trace his bloodline descendants. If not for this, Yang Hongwu wouldn't be so worried. Young Master, what should we do now? Go find Senior Kuang Zhan, Yang Hongwu said. Ow, Shanhai Guanyu asked. Young Master, we don't have the specific location of that person. Yang Hongwu said, don't worry about this. I can find him. With a thought, Yang Hongwu activated the transmission talismans again. These transmission talismans were refined before, but they were almost used up now. Then, Yang Hongwu and the others once again entered Kuang Zhan's spatial world. You're here. Kuang Zhan seemed to have expected this. He looked at Yang Hongwu and said, I already know why you're here. I can't resolve the seal on your body. Unless Master personally comes, no one can help. Forget it. Yang Hongwu heard this. This was really big trouble. Even Kuang Zhan couldn't resolve this seal. What should he do? Senior, are you joking? Senior Zhiga, how can you help me? Yang Hongwu was helpless. He couldn't go find Dao Lord Zhiga. Although this was Dao Lord Zhiga's divine palace, it was impossible for him to contact Dao Lord Zhiga. Even if he could contact Dao Lord Zhiga might not be willing to help. How could he get Dao Lord Zhiga to help? The possibility was too slim. Don't worry. Although I can't help you, in fact, you can do it yourself. Kuang Zhan looked at Yang Hongwu and said, the powerful force in your body can resolve this seal. Yang Hongwu frowned. Mobilizing the force in his body was not easy for Yang Hongwu. Moreover, Yang Hanwu was not willing to mobilize that force. After all, it was not a small threat to Yang Hanwu. Yang Hanwu didn't want to lose himself. Senior, is there no other way? Yang Hanwu continued to ask. He hoped to find another way. Although this seal was strange, it shouldn't be that there was no other way to resolve it, right? There is. Let Tian Sha remove this seal himself. Kuang Zhan said, but that's impossible. Tian Sha hates you to the bone. You ruined his plans. How can he let you go? Unless you're strong enough to suppress Tian Sha. If your strength really reaches that level, then this curse mark won't pose any threat to you. Yang Hanwu was speechless. He didn't expect this seal to be so powerful that even Kuang Zhan couldn't do anything about it. Of course, Kuang Zhan might have a way to resolve it, but he was unwilling to help him. Chapter 1992. It's possible to suppress this seal, Berserker said. I can help you suppress this seal for 3 days. If you can't solve it after 3 days, then I can't do anything about it. 3 days? Yang Hanwu nodded. 3 days is good. I'll have to trouble you then. 3 days was enough. If it didn't work, not to mention 3 days, it would be meaningless even if it took 3 years. If he was able to do so, then not to mention 3 days, he would be able to get rid of this curse seal in 1 day. Okay, Berserker said, logically speaking, you also helped me to get rid of this curse, so I should help you get rid of this curse. However, I have no way to completely solve this problem for you, so I'll give you something. If I'm not wrong, you should have the bloodline of dragons. Then, this thing should be of great help to you. As he spoke, Berserker took out an item. This item was a dragon pearl. This dragon pearl contained a vast amount of power. This was a dragon pearl of a Dao Lord Dragon. It contained a majestic energy. It might not be of much help to ordinary warriors because they couldn't use it at all, but it was different for cultivators of the dragons. Such a dragon pearl would be of great help to Yang Hanwu. It was enough to raise his cultivation by a level. Of course, this was under the condition that Yang Hanwu could refine this dragon pearl. However, this wasn't a big problem for Yang Hanwu. This is a dragon pearl? Yes, this is a dragon pearl of a mid-stage Dao Lord Dragon. I obtained it in a ruin. It's not of much use to me, but it should be of some help to you. Berserker said, if you're lucky, you can get the inheritance of this Dao Lord Dragon. Of course, it all depends on your luck. There's a powerful seal on this dragon pearl. I tried to break the seal in the past, but I didn't succeed. So, whether you can get this opportunity depends on you. It's all up to you. Thank you, Yang Hanwu said gratefully. In fact, Berserker didn't owe him anything. He was already giving him face by helping him like this. Now, he even gave him such a Dragon Ball. This made Yang Hanwu very grateful. It was exciting. There's no need for that. I'll help you seal that seal. This seal can last for 3 days. After 3 days, the seal will break. At that time, you'll have to rely on yourself, said Wild War. A beam of divine light struck Yang Hanwu. Yang Hanwu suddenly felt a force enter his body, forming a talisman. This talisman instantly wrapped the cursed seal in it and sealed it. Yang Hanwu took a deep breath. The aura of this seal had been completely sealed. All right, Berserker took a deep breath, seeming a little tired. It seemed that sealing this rune had consumed a lot of Berserker's energy. Now, I'll send you out. With that, Yang Hanwu and the other two felt a force that sent them out of this space. Then, Yang Hanwu discovered that this space had completely disappeared. They could no longer sense the space where they could enter Berserker's space. It was probably Berserker's intention to do this. If Berserker didn't want to, they wouldn't have been able to find his location. Dao Lord Berserker's strength is indeed unfathomable. When the 3 of them were sent out, they didn't have any strength to resist. This also meant that if Berserker wanted to kill them, he wouldn't need to expend too much energy. This was enough to show how terrifying his strength was. For any cultivator, the stronger they were, the more they knew how weak they were. This was the case for Yang Hanwu now. A long time ago, Yang Hanwu thought that the Venerable Realm was a top expert, but now he had surpassed it. There were too many people who had reached the Emperor Realm. But above the Emperor Realm, there was the Ruler Realm, and above the Ruler Realm, there were even more powerful Dao Lords. In the eyes of a Dao Lord, any cultivator below the Tao Lord level, no matter how strong they were, was an ant. Now, everyone below the Tao Lord level was an ant. Yang Hongwu finally understood this sentence. Previously, Yang Hongwu believed that with his strength and the help of the formation, it wasn't impossible to fight against the Tao Lord. But now, Yang Hongwu truly understood that the difference between a half-step Tao Lord and a Tao Lord was like heaven and earth. It was a natural chasm, an insurmountable natural chasm. No matter how amazing your talent was, no matter how strong your ability to challenge those above your level was, as long as you were below the Tao Lord level, you would never be able to fight against a true Tao Lord expert. This seemed to be an iron law. It was an unsurpassable law. Yang Hongwu took a deep breath. Perhaps there really were geniuses below the Tao Lord level in the myriad worlds who could fight against the Tao Lord. But there was no way he could do that right now. Of course, that was unless the power in his body erupted. If he did, he might even be able to fight against Tao Lords. In fact, he might even be able to kill Tao Lords. However, that power was most likely an existence that surpassed the Tao Lord level. In his previous life, he might have been a peak Tao Lord expert. What is this place? Tai Tulong looked around and asked, I wonder if there is any danger here? We have to be careful, Yang Hongwu said. This is the edge of the Black Fiend Abyss. Past here is Black Fiend Town. Yang Hongwu could clearly see that although this place was different from before, they were already at the edge of Black Fiend Town. This place seemed to be somewhat special, but it wasn't too dangerous. But some small problems couldn't be avoided. The edge of the Black Fiend Abyss. Mountain Sea Watcher and Tai Tulong couldn't believe it. This place was completely different from when they first entered. It was impossible for the entire landscape to change in an instant. In the Black Fiend Abyss, it was very difficult to change the landscape. The rocks and mountains here were all incomparably tough. Unless one was a Tao Lord, they would not be able to do so. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to do such a thing, not even half-step Tao Lords. In fact, this was related to the level of the space world. The higher the level of the space world, the more powerful the laws of the space world would be. It would be very difficult to change the space and landscape of the space world. A small beast, Yang Hongwu said. It was a small beast that changed this place. Chapter 1993. This strange beast was very special. If he could subdue it and then inject the curse seal in his body into the strange beast's body, it would be a good idea. However, this method was extremely difficult. But to Yang Hongwu, even if it was difficult, he still had to try. If he didn't try, it wouldn't work. No matter what, he had to succeed this time. If he didn't, Yang Hongwu wouldn't continue to stay in the great Empyrean realm. Lu Zhong had to return to the Divine Dominion. At this moment, Yang Hongwu couldn't wait. How do we break this illusion? Tai Tulong asked. It doesn't matter. It's just a small, strange beast. Its strength is only at the early stage of the sovereign realm. There's nothing to be afraid of. As long as we break the illusion, this strange beast won't be able to withstand a single blow, Yang Hongwu said. And this illusion is meaningless in front of me. What a joke. A mere illusion technique was like displaying one slight skill in front of an expert. Any illusion technique would be meaningless in front of his powerful eye technique. With that, Yang Hongwu reached out and clawed at the strange beast's body. The strange beast was terrified. It thought to itself, this human shouldn't be able to see through my illusion, right? Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Even a Tao Lord expert wouldn't be able to see through my illusion easily. This human's cultivation is only at the Emperor realm. How can a mere Emperor see through my illusion and see where I am? At this moment, the strange beast was very anxious. Although it was at the Sovereign Realm, it was only at the early stage of the Sovereign Realm. Tai Tulong and Shan Hai Guanyue, who were beside Yang Hongwu, were both much stronger than it. If they fought, it wouldn't be a match for them without the support of its illusion. Once its location was exposed, then its own nightmare would come. It had absolutely no confidence in fighting against these two powerhouses. The problem now was that this warrior, a mere emperor, was actually trying to grab it. At this moment, although the strange beast was very nervous, it still didn't move. It didn't believe that Yang Hongwu could break its illusion. This was its confidence. After all, its illusion had been tested. Even a Tao Lord Berserker would be able to break through it. This was because they had all been bewitched by its illusions and had not been able to break through its illusions. This time, the young man in front of him was definitely an accident. He must have seen something wrong. Perhaps this person was here to try and trick him into leaving. That was how the exotic beast comforted itself. However, it was still extremely nervous. After all, once its identity was exposed, its life might be in danger. Such a risk was too great. Seeing that Yang Hongwu's hand was getting closer and closer, it finally couldn't take it anymore. Its figure flashed, and it fled in a certain direction. Its speed was also very fast. After all, this type of strange beast mainly cultivated illusions. It could be said that illusions were its foundation. Therefore, this type of strange beast didn't have a strong combat strength. However, although its combat strength wasn't strong, it could still protect its life. Naturally, its abilities weren't weak. One of them was its illusory technique, which was its greatest trump card. The other was its speed, which was extremely fast. If it couldn't defeat its opponent, it would flee the battlefield as fast as it could. You want to leave? Impossible. Seeing that the strange beast wanted to escape, Yang Hongwu smiled. Since it was blocking his way, it was impossible for it to escape now. Yang Hongwu would never let it escape. It was very fast, but Yang Hongwu's speed was even faster. The void travel technique was no joke. He appeared in front of the strange beast in an instant. Impossible. How can he be so fast? How can this human discover my location? This time, the strange beast was really stunned. It couldn't believe that a human could break its illusion, even if it was a Tao master. Even a monarch expert couldn't do it, but this human did it. Could it be that this human had a strong eye technique? Could he have the eye of fortune that could see through everything? If that was the case, it was absolutely fatal to it. Not to mention it, this was the bane of the illusory beast clan. The entire clan was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered in front of this human. How could there be such a human in this world who could have such a heaven-defying eye technique? Damn it, damn human. The phantom beast roared angrily. It was going to risk its life. This human was too much of a threat to its clan. This time, only it was able to catch up. Although the other two humans were strong, it would still take some time for them to catch up. As long as it could kill the two humans before they caught up, even if it died in the end, it would be worth it. No matter what, it would not let this happen. No matter what, it couldn't let the bane of its clan stay. It stared at Yang Hongwu, stared at this human. This human's cultivation was only at the Emperor realm, while it was at the mid-stage of the Sovereign realm. It didn't believe that this human could be so heaven-defying. His talent was amazing, surpassing many people of the same realm. He could challenge people of a higher realm, but it was impossible for him to fight against a Sovereign realm expert with his Emperor realm. Human, you're courting death. With a roar, the phantasmal beast's body grew in size until it was as big as a mountain. It changed from a cute kitten to a huge tiger with long fangs and sharp claws. It looked extremely ferocious as it rushed towards Yang Hongwu. Although the phantasmal beast's combat strength wasn't strong, it was still a Sovereign realm beast. Its combat strength was still very shocking. Although it was a Sovereign realm beast, its combat strength was still very shocking. It might not be able to defeat a Sovereign realm expert, but it definitely had the upper hand against a Sovereign Emperor realm expert. However, it definitely didn't expect that Yang Hongwu was that kind of monstrous genius. His combat strength was too terrifying and couldn't be treated with common sense. Although his cultivation was only at the Emperor realm, in fact, he could kill a Sovereign realm expert. Even late-stage sovereigns and half-step Tao Lord had died in the hands of Yang Hongwu. Chapter 1994. A mere phantom beast dares to be so arrogant? Yang Hongwu sneered. The number of fierce beasts that have died in my hands is countless. Not to mention, the illusory beast clan with such insignificant fighting strength dares to provoke me. They are simply seeking death. Having said that, Yang Hongwu took out a huge seal. It was the life seal. Yang Hongwu did not dare to be careless against an early sovereign phantom beast from the Phantom Beast clan. As the saying goes, it's never wrong to be careful. Extreme, yes. He couldn't be careless in the slightest. Even a lion would use its full strength when hunting a rabbit. There absolutely couldn't be any mishaps. It was precisely because of this that Yang Hongwu directly took out one of his greatest trump cards, the life seal. Vast as soon as the life seal was taken out, it instantly turned into a small mountain and smashed towards the phantom beast. This attack was extremely powerful. Moreover, Yang Hongwu had unknowingly transformed the formation set up by the illusory beast from an illusory formation into a terrifying killing formation. This when a killing formation was combined with the life seal. Its power was extremely terrifying. Boom! A loud sound was heard. The huge seal instantly smashed onto the giant phantom beast's body. In reality, from the phantom beast's point of view, Yang Hongwu did not take out such a terrifying mountain. It only felt the pressure. However, this terrifying power was too domineering. Even though it was a sovereign in front of the life seal and Yang Hongwu's formation, it had no power to resist. Its huge body was sent flying in an instant. At this moment, it roared furiously in its heart. It couldn't believe that the other party's strength was so terrifying and powerful. It was a sovereign realm cultivator, but this human was only a mere sovereign realm cultivator. He was a realm lower than it, but he had such terrifying combat strength. A sovereign realm expert, like it couldn't even withstand a single blow from him. At this moment, Tai Tulong and Shan Hai Guanyue had caught up with it. At this moment, it realized that its greatest danger had arrived. Little Mirage Beast, if you surrender now, I can spare your life. Yang Hongwu looked at the phantom beast that had returned to its original kitten form after being sent flying. Yang Hongwu said, in reality, his purpose was not to kill the illusory beast, but to subdue it and use its innate talent of illusion techniques to inject the cursed seal into its body. Once the cursed seal was solved, he could leave the Tongtian continent and return to the god's domain. Therefore, for Yang Hongwu, this was a very crucial point. Damn human, you want me to submit? You must be dreaming. At this moment, it was still incomparably angry. It glared at Yang Hongwu, its eyes filled with hostility. Looking at its adorable appearance, no matter how ferocious and angry it appeared, it was unable to pose any threat. Instead, it was amusing to look at it. Young master, is this little thing? Tai Tulong looked at him. That's right. Yang Hongwu nodded and said, don't underestimate this little guy. Its innate divine ability is very powerful. With your strength, if you enter its dreamland and encounter its illusions, you won't be able to escape in a short time. It's even possible for you to die in it. This little thing is so powerful. Shanhai Guanyue was in disbelief. He reached out to grab the phantom beast. The phantom beast was furious. You damn humans, kill me if you dare. If I frown, I'm not a member of the Phantom Beast clan. Little thing, you're now a prisoner. How dare you be so arrogant? Tai Tulong said coldly. Do you believe that I won't crush your head? Tai Tulong's tone was so fierce that it frightened the phantom beast. This, a small illusory beast, in fact, had a high status in the illusory beast clan. After all, its cultivation was already at the sovereign realm, which was very rare for the illusory beast clan. In the illusory beast clan, those who could reach the sovereign realm were very powerful. Its strength was at least in the top 5 of the illusory beast clan. Even the Phantom Beast clan's king was only in the late sovereign realm. He was no match for Tai Tulong and the others. However, ordinary people would not dare to enter the Phantom Beast clan's territory. Even half-stepped Dao, lords would not dare to take the risk. The Phantom Beast clan's territory was full of illusions. Once one fell into it, they might not be able to escape. However, the illusory beast clan also had their natural enemies, and that was those with powerful eye techniques or divine eyes. These people were the real nemesis of the illusory beast clan, especially Yang Hongwu. His eye technique was too powerful. For the small illusory beast, it was fatal. Its illusory technique was nothing in front of Yang Hongwu. Come on, kill me if you have the guts. If you don't kill me, you'll be my grandson. The small fantasy beast shouted loudly. It was provoking Yishiwen. The speed of his speech was extremely fast, and it sounded like he was speaking a tongue twister. Yang Hongwu did not know whether to laugh or cry. But Tai Talon was thoroughly enraged. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The enraged Tai Talon clawed at the small mirage beast with his huge hand. He gathered a powerful force and was about to crush the small mirage beast. Wait, Yang Hongwu tried to stop him. If Tai Talon were to squash him to death just like that, wouldn't all his plans be for naught? Therefore, he had to stop him. Tai Talon was furious, but there was nothing he could do. He did not dare to disobey Yang Hongwu's order. No, to kill the beast, he could only throw it on the ground. Come on, kill me if you dare. If you don't, you're my grandson. Ha! Coward! The phantom beast laughed wildly, provoking Tai Talon. It was not afraid of death at all. Tai Talon had never been this angry before. He wasn't even this angry when Yang Hongwu beat him up. Unfortunately, he couldn't do anything to this little beast. He couldn't kill it, so he could only hold it in. It was too depressing and sullen. There was no way. All he could do was to sulk. Don't be angry. Yang Hongwu smiled. This little thing is still useful to me. After I'm done with it, I'll hand it over to you. You could do whatever you want with it. At this moment, he had to comfort Tai Talon. No matter who it was, they would not be able to hold back their anger in such a situation. Yang Hongwu was clear about this. Chapter 1995. Damn human, you want to subdue me? It's impossible. Tian Huanling, will never submit to a human. After that, the small phantasmal beast activated the power in its body, intending to explode its inner core. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes. How could he let it do as it wished? It's impossible for you to self-explode in front of me. Yang Hongwu snorted coldly and grabbed it with his big hand. Then a mysterious seal was injected into its body. The next moment, the small phantom beast figure changed, and then it turned into a small phantom beast again. The small phantasmal beast couldn't move at all. All the power in its body was sealed. Not to mention self-exploding, it couldn't even move a little bit. It couldn't mobilize the power in its body at all. My spiritual power, my cultivation, the small phantasmal beast shouted loudly. It couldn't believe that its spiritual power and spiritual power were all sealed. Its inner core was also sealed. It couldn't control its body at all. It was reduced to a puppet. Its life and death were completely controlled by others. Terrifying, this was too terrifying. It couldn't even self-explode. What kind of cultivation did this human have? How terrifying was he? Was he still an emperor? Perhaps even a Tao Lord expert couldn't do it, right? One should know that for any strange beast, even if it was sealed by an expert, it could still trigger its own power to self-explode. Unless the expert knew beforehand that the other party was going to self-explode. Moreover, his strength was enough to completely crush the other party. However, this time, when it self-exploded, it had already triggered the power in its body, triggering its inner core, causing the energy in its inner core to become violent. Once it entered such a state, it couldn't be stopped. But this human was able to do it. That was something that even a Tao Lord expert couldn't do. But this human was able to do it. What kind of monstrous existence was he? It was too overbearing. He sealed the power of self-explosion without harming the other party. Such a divine ability was too amazing. It was already beyond the scope of ordinary people. Thinking of this, Tian Huanling's heart became even more bitter. He thought that it didn't matter if he died, but this human was the biggest enemy of the illusory beast clan, the most terrifying enemy. If he had any enmity towards the illusory beast clan, then it would be devastating for the entire clan. The blow. How could he stop this human and kill him? Tian Huanling couldn't think of any solution. The illusory beast clan wasn't as strong as they imagined, especially when facing someone with divine eye secret technique or divine eye. The illusory beast clan was very weak. It was to the extent that the illusory beast clan was no match for those with extremely powerful mental strength and mental fortitude. As for people like Yang Hongwu, who were able to disregard his illusions, they were even more unable to withstand his illusions. Even the heavenly illusion spirit suspected that if Yang Hongwu entered the illusory beast clan's territory, even the supreme treasure of the illusory beast clan would not be able to confuse this human. Little thing, if you want to die, you have to ask me. Without my permission, you can't die. Yang Hongwu coldly said, if you promise me one thing, I can spare your life. What do you want? At this moment, Tian Huanling had already given in. Suicide was not an option. Escaping was even more impossible. This human was too terrifying. It could only pretend to be obedient. What do I want? Yang Hongwu slightly smiled and said, this matter is actually very simple. As long as you cooperate, I won't kill you, and I won't have any thoughts about your clan. You can rest assured about this. Yang Hongwu could see that this small illusory beast was actually very worried that he would make a move against its clan. After all, someone like him who could ignore their illusion techniques would have a terrifying impact on the illusory beast clan. If he really wanted to attack the illusory beast clan, if he really took action, they would have no room to resist. If it was anyone else, they would also be worried. This was also the reason why this little guy was so frightened. It was like someone wanted to take action against your clan and had the ability to exterminate your entire family. Moreover, there seemed to be signs of taking action. In the face of such a situation, anyone would be worried. Especially in the cultivation world, this was a very common thing. Are you serious? Tian Huanling looked at Yang Hongwu, still very doubtful. Of course. Yang Hongwu said, I don't need to lie to you. However, if you don't cooperate, then I'm sorry. Don't blame me for being impolite. After saying that, Yang Hongwu's eyes flashed with a cold light. He didn't hide his killing intent at all. Tian Huanling took a deep breath and looked at Yang Hongwu. All right, what do you want me to do? Although Tian Huanling was very unwilling, there was no other way. Its strength was inferior. It couldn't even self-destruct. What else could it do? What do you want me to do? Just say it, I promise you. Tian Huanling said. At this moment, it was very clear that it had no way to refuse. There was no possibility of resisting. Even if it resisted, it couldn't do it. It could only accept and find a way to escape. This was its only thought. I hope you don't have any tricks up your sleeves. Otherwise, I will let you know what terror is. I can borrow the power of your bloodline to kill all your clansmen. This I will do as I say. Yang Hongwu said coldly. Bloodline. I believe that you should have heard of the tracking method. Tian Huanling was terrified when heard that. It had naturally heard of this secret technique. It was a secret technique from the ancient times. This secret technique had been lost for a long time. There were not many people who knew about this secret technique. It did not expect that this human in front of it would have such a secret technique. Not only did he say it, but he also seemed to have mastered such a terrifying secret technique. Don't worry. I, Tian Huanling, am a man of my words. Just say it. I'm not afraid even if I die. Just say it. Tian Huanling looked at Yang Hongwu and said helplessly, Open your mind. Yang Hongwu said. Tian Huanling had no choice but to do as he was told. After Yang Hongwu planted an imprint in his soul, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. This guy's physique was indeed astonishing. Its origin was actually illusory. It could be said that it could undergo a myriad of changes. If it was strong enough, it could transform to the extreme. Chapter 1996. How could the shackles and restrictions of the Great Tao be broken so easily? If it could be broken, then it wouldn't be a Great Tao anymore, but an expert who had surpassed the Great Tao. Perhaps the illusory beast clan was too heaven-defying and was feared by the Great Tao. Generally speaking, the truly heaven-defying clans were too terrifying and couldn't be tolerated by the heavens and earth. In reality, Yang Hongwu seemed to be in such a situation. However, the power in Yang Hongwu's body, or rather, the power of his bloodline, seemed to have surpassed the Great Tao. Thus, the Great Tao couldn't restrict it at all. Therefore, it was left unsettled. Rin, it's up to you. Of course, what's coming will come. For example, the lightning tribulation and the like will appear. Inside, after branding the heavenly illusion spirit, Yang Hongwu waved his hand and set up a formation. This formation was very powerful and had amazing defensive power. Yang Hongwu said to Shanhai Guanyue and Tai Talong, "Protect me. I'm going to solve the problem of the curse mark seed." "Don't worry, young master. We're here." Tai Talong nodded. Yang Hongwu nodded and didn't mind. This formation was extremely powerful, and its defense was absolutely no problem. Unless a Dao Lord expert attacked, it would take at least 2 to 4 hours to break through the formation and break in. Inside, therefore, Yang Hongwu wasn't too worried. After bringing the small illusory beast into the formation, Yang Hongwu was ready to transfer the curse mark seed from his body to the small illusory beast. This wasn't going to be easy. That was only Yang Hongwu's theoretical guess. Whether it would work or not was still unknown. This was still uncertain. He wasn't completely certain. "Come." Yang Hongwu grabbed the heavenly illusion spirit's head. At this moment, the heavenly illusion spirit was stunned. It was completely under Yang Hongwu's control. At this moment, Yang Hongwu's soul fused into the heavenly illusion spirit's body. Then, under Yang Hongwu's command, the heavenly illusion spirit turned into Yang Hongwu's appearance. In addition to the previous soul attachment, the Yang Hongwu that the Tian Huanling had transformed into could be passed off as the real thing. It was too shocking, too similar. Defecation, even Yang Hongwu himself was amazed. However, a fake was still a fake. He didn't have his own secret arts. It was very easy to distinguish them. Of course, if one was not familiar with them, it would be impossible to figure them out. No, however, it was the best way to fool the curse mark and the seed. Although that thing had a certain level of intelligence, its intelligence was like that of a 3-year-old child. It could only lock on a Yang Hongwu's soul aura. After all this, Yang Hongwu completely sealed his aura and concealed it. He used the creation chi to wrap his soul in it and camouflage himself perfectly. After doing all this, Yang Hongwu undid Dao Lord Berserker's seal. The moment the seal was undone, the curse seal turned into a strange black shadow and rushed out of Yang Hongwu's body in an instant. Yang Hongwu was pleasantly surprised. The curse seal was extremely violent at this moment, but it locked onto its target. It was the heavenly illusion spirit, who had taken on the appearance of Yang Hongwu. It seems to have succeeded. Yang Hongwu was secretly delighted. He didn't expect it to go so smoothly this time. The curse seal was easily removed. Clang! After the curse seal entered the Tian Huanling's body, Yang Hongwu instantly placed a sealing talisman on the Tian Huanling's body. This talisman was similar to the seal cast by Berserker. However, Yang Hongwu had integrated it into the talisman to form a sealing talisman. This sealing talisman could perfectly seal the curse seal. After all this was done, Yang Hongwu took a deep breath. Here, the Tian Huanling returned to its original form, but there was still a trace of its soul power left in its body. Before leaving the sky-reaching continent, Yang Hongwu would choose to withdraw this trace of soul power. Yang Hongwu didn't want this trace of soul power to be locked onto by others. This was a very troublesome thing for him. What did you put into my body?" The Tian Huanling was terrified as it looked at Yang Hongwu. After that thing entered its body, the Tian Huanling immediately felt a terrifying aura. This aura completely locked onto it and integrated into its soul. Moreover, that thing seemed to want to escape, but it was sealed. It was a sealing talisman that sealed that thing in its soul. This thing didn't cause much damage to its soul, but it seemed to be very anxious. However, when the Tian Huanling saw that thing clearly, its eyes were filled with surprise and fear. This was a seed. This was the demonic seed of baleful heaven. This item was fatally attractive to all the strange beasts of the Black Fiend Abyss. If they could refine it and make it acknowledge them as their master, they would be able to receive Dao Lord Heavensky's legacy and obtain an unparalleled amount of power. However, it seemed that this thing couldn't be in its body now. This seed wanted to escape, and it seemed to be very anxious. Moreover, the Tian Huanling wasn't worried about this. This seed would definitely emit the aura of a demonic seed in its body. This aura would be sensed by all the exotic beasts in the Black Fiend Abyss, and they would attack it crazily. This meant that once it left this place and appeared in the Black Fiend Abyss, it would be chased by all the exotic beasts. This was fatal. It didn't think that it could do it with its strength. Bitter. It was too bitter. This damned human. Why did he do this? Why did he have such a terrifying demonic seed? No, this didn't seem to be an inheritance demonic seed. If it was an inheritance demonic seed, it would be very powerful and contain boundless power. However, this demonic seed didn't seem to have such terrifying power. It seemed to be just a bait, a special seed. Could it be that this human had been branded because he offended baleful heaven? The more it thought about it, the more likely it was. Where did this human come from? Thinking of this, the Tian Huanling felt even more bitter. Unlucky, too unlucky. Why was he so unlucky back then? Why did he set up a formation there and offend this human fiend? It's as you think. Yang Hongwu's lips curled into a smile. This is a cursed seed of baleful heaven, or rather, a demonic seed. This thing is very attractive to the exotic beasts in the Black Fiend Abyss. Now, I'm giving it to you. What do you think? Are you surprised? Yeah. Chapter 1997. After exiting the formation, Yang Hongwu put away. Here Tai Tulong and Shanhai Guanyue were waiting patiently. Here the moment Yang Hongwu put away the formation, they looked at Yang Hongwu. Young master, how did it go? Tai Tulong asked hurriedly. Now that it's settled, we can return to the heaven-span continent. The corners of Yang Hongwu's mouth curled into a smile. That's great. I knew young master would succeed. Tai Tulong was overjoyed. To him, this meant that freedom was coming. He didn't want to be under Yang Hongwu's control forever. After all, Yang Hongwu was his greatest enemy. The feeling of having one's life and death controlled by someone else was very unpleasant. Only once Yang Hongwu left Tongtian, he wouldn't have to care about anything else. Anyone related to Yang Hongwu would have to be killed. Tai Tulong's eyes flashed coldly, especially that bastard Tai Xiaoyao. He had to be killed. Yang Hongwu looked at Tai Tulong. Although Tai Tulong had concealed it well and didn't show any dissatisfaction, Yang Hongwu knew very well that the old man had a lot of resentment in his heart. However, if it were anyone else, they would be resentful in the face of such a situation. Tai Tulong couldn't be blamed. However, the bad thing was that the old man had developed killing intent. Of course, it wasn't that he wanted to kill Tai Tulong, but he would definitely make a move on those related to Tai Tulong. If Tai Tulong's son Yang Tianjun didn't want to leave with him, he would have to deal with this old man. Otherwise, Yang Tianjun wouldn't be a match for this old man. As for Shanhai Guanyue, she didn't think much of it. Although she was ambitious, she couldn't compare to Tai Tulong. Moreover, Shanhai Guanyue had always been doing this for her Shanhai city. More importantly, she wanted to protect Tongtian from the invasion of the sea race. Are we leaving now, young master? Shanhai Guanyue asked. Yes. Yang Hongwu nodded. Although he had transferred the curse seal into the small fantasy beast body, the curse seal was very strange. Although he had studied it, he was not 100% sure that it had been completely resolved. After all, the Black Fiend Abyss was still the territory of Tian Sha. Yang Hongwu was not sure if there would be any accidents, so it was better to leave the Black Fiend Abyss as soon as possible. After that, Yang Hongwu waved his hand and launched a mysterious technique. In an instant, a portal was formed in the void. This portal was the portal to leave the Black Evil Abyss and enter the Black Evil Town. Yang Hongwu was the first to step in. Iron Tulong and Shanhai Guanyue looked at each other and followed closely behind. Oni Ray of Light flashed, and the three of them finally returned to Black Demon Town. This Black Demon Town was the same as before. The only difference was that it was less lively. This Black Fiend Town seemed to be in decline. The originally bustling Black Fiend Town was reduced to its current state because of a single battle. Of course, there were still many people who came, but they seemed to be looking for something. Among them, one of the forces occupied the central area of Black Demon Town. Young Hanwoo narrowed his eyes. There was indeed something very special in Black Demon Town. Young Hanwoo was quite interested in it. Previously, he did not investigate it because he was looking for the fragments of the planar boat and did not want to be entangled with the Black Fiend Patriarch. He did not expect that the Black Fiend Patriarch of Black Demon Town would be occupied by a group of people after he had dealt with him. The other party's strength was not weak and had reached the level of a half-step Dowlord. Yes, an expert. Young Master, those people seemed to be from the Scourge Palace. Tai Tu Long looked at the people in the distance and explained. Yang Hanwoo said, "What kind of force is the Scourge Palace? How strong are they?" The Scourge Palace is actually similar to Black Demon Town. They are one of the few special forces in the Skirich continent. They are very strong and do not belong to the category of cities. They are not connected to the continent of the lower realms, so they are very special. They are not among the top 10 cities, but their strength is not weaker than the top 10 cities. Shanhai Guanyue also explained. The people of the Scourge Palace are very strange. They are both good and evil. I'm afraid they came to Black Demon Town with ill intentions. However, as soon as Shanhai Guanyue finished speaking, a group of people appeared and walked towards them. Yang Hanwoo narrowed his eyes. He did not want to look for trouble, but trouble came to him of its own accord. Yang Hanwoo also wanted to get his hands on one of the treasures in Black Demon Town. However, after seeing that Black Demon Town had been occupied and the other party's strength was not weak, Yang Hanwoo did not want to look for trouble. He planned to return to Iron Mountain Town and deal with the problems of Tai Tu Long and his son, Yang Tianjun. After that, he would completely refine the planar boat and leave the Skirich continent. Now, these so-called people from the Scourge Palace seemed to be looking for trouble with him. This made Yang Hanwoo very annoyed. This was a waste of his time. Thinking at this point, Yang Hanwoo was very annoyed. Sigh. He hoped that these guys would be tactful. Otherwise, he might start a massacre again. Yang Hanwoo thought of this. His killing intent seemed to be getting stronger and stronger recently. He sighed inwardly. He was forced to do this. If anyone dared to obstruct him, no matter who it was, he would not let them go. It's them. At this moment, someone pointed at Yang Hongwoo's group. The three of you stop right there. The leader looked at Yang Hongwoo's group and said arrogantly, "Our Lord wants you to go. Who are you?" How arrogant. Tai Tu Long looked coldly at the person in front of him. This person was only a late-stage ruler. However, when did late-stage ruler cultivators become so worthless that they could just randomly appear? Even more so, there weren't even that many half-step Dowlords in the world. There was an aura that made Tai Tu Long feel very uncomfortable and oppressed. The other party was definitely a half-step Dowlord. If not, there was no way he could make him feel so uncomfortable and oppressed. Difficult. Could it be that the Scourge Palace's palace lord had come? The Scourge Palace truly was powerful, but only its palace lord had reached the half-step Dowlord level of power. How dare you? Do you know who our lord is? Our lord is the father of the Scourge Palace's palace lord. Do you know that you're provoking the Scourge Palace by disobeying his orders? That person's tone was extremely arrogant. He pointed at Tai Tu Long and said, "Do you believe that our Lord will kill you the moment he speaks?" Chapter 1998. There was no doubt that the Palace Lord of Lunar Scourge Palace was powerful. He was definitely a half-step Dowlord. However, his father wasn't a half-step Dowlord. He was at the late stage of the Sovereign Realm, similar to Tai Tu Long and the others in terms of strength. Perhaps he was a little weaker, but as the father of the Palace Master of the Lunar Scourge Palace, his status was naturally high. In the Lunar Scourge Palace, he was the Overlord. Even the Palace Lord of Lunar Scourge Palace had to be respectful to him. After all, he was his father. However, Yang Hongwoo didn't care. This guy was just the father of the Palace Lord. If he angered him, he could just kill him. Wait a moment. You'll see. The man said coldly. It was as if he could already see Yang Hongwoo and the others being beaten up. Tai Tu Long and the others wanted to attack, but they held back. This kid was too arrogant. However, he was still from Lunar Scourge Palace. If the Palace Lord was here, it would be troublesome. As for the father of the Palace Lord, they weren't worried. He couldn't be stronger than the Palace Lord, right? If the Lunar Scourge Palace had 2 Tao Lords, it would have become the #1 faction long ago. After all, there were very few half-step Tao Lords in the Tontian continent. Of course, there were also some old antiques. After all, it was possible. However, even if there were some old antiques, they wouldn't act rashly. For them, once they made a move, it would consume a large amount of their origin energy. In that case, they might trigger a lightning tribulation. It wouldn't be an ordinary lightning tribulation, but a Tao Lord lightning tribulation. It was extremely terrifying, and they didn't have the slightest bit of confidence. Tai Talong, Shanghai Guanyue. After entering the main hall of Leaning Mountain Town, there was a man in the center. He had a white beard, but his eyes were bright as he looked at Tai Talong and Shanghai Guanyue. So what if I am? Tai Talong said coldly. What do you want? You can leave, but this kid stays. The man said, impossible. Tai Talong said coldly. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you're the father of the Palace Lord. Even if the Palace Lord comes personally, it's impossible. So, you're refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Mountain narrowed his eyes. He looked at Tai Tulong and Shanghai Guanyue with an ugly expression. As an overlord of Lunar Scourge Palace, who wouldn't be respectful to him? Someone had dared to reject his offer, but Tai Tulong and Shanghai Guanyue had done the same. How could he not be angry? This was not taking him seriously and not giving him any face. When had the Heaven's Wrath Mountain ever received such treatment? I can stay, but do you have the ability? Yang Hongwu snorted and said, You're not enough. Let your son do it. What arrogance! He's courting death. Men, kill Tai Tulong and Shanghai Guanyue. Capture that brat. Heaven's Wrath shouted furiously. The disciples of the Lunar Scourge Palace charged at Tai Tulong and the other 2 at the same time. Menacing. However, Tai Tulong snorted. His powerful aura erupted, instantly suppressing them. Shanghai Guanyue did the same. These 2 were late-stage sovereigns. After receiving Yang Hongwu's pills, their cultivation had recovered. Peak. The 2 late-stage sovereigns weren't afraid of these people at all. The 2 of them stood on the left and right, forming a powerful energy field that blocked the disciples of the Lunar Scourge Palace. Not a single person was able to charge over. Anyone who tried to approach them was sent flying. Mountain's expression changed. The 2 of them weren't weak. If he didn't take action, he wouldn't be a match for them. However, it would be embarrassing if he couldn't even handle this well and had to rely on his son. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. The Heaven's Wrath Mountain was enraged. He took out a treasure, which instantly enveloped the entire Black Fiend town. It took the shape of a terrifying spear in the sky. This was the spear, the Heaven's Wrath Spear. The power of the Heaven's Wrath Spear was terrifying. It was the supreme treasure of the Scourge Palace. Yang Hongwu's expression changed when he saw the treasure. This supreme treasure was definitely incomparably powerful. It was in existence on the same level as his life seal. The Heaven's Wrath Spear? Tai Tulong and Shanghai Guanyue's expressions changed. They had heard of this treasure before. The Heavenly Wrath Spear was the supreme treasure of the Heavenly Wrath Palace. It was the symbol of the head of the Heavenly Wrath Palace. Now, the head of the Heavenly Wrath Palace had actually given it to his father. That was incredible. It seemed that their target was the 3 of them. Yes, and indeed, with great determination. They had even taken out the Heaven's Wrath Spear. This was incredible. Moreover, the appearance of the Heaven's Wrath Spear meant that the Palace Master had arrived. Even if he hadn't arrived yet, he would be here soon. They didn't know what great secret was hidden here. Or rather, what great secret did Yang Hongwu have that even the Palace Master had set his eyes on him? However, Tai Tulong and Shanghai Guanyue didn't dare to ask about this. They wouldn't ask about it. It had nothing to do with them. They were still under Yang Hongwu's control. However, Tai Tulong wanted to know this secret. He was very ambitious. He was calculating in his heart. Once he was free, he would attack Yang Hongwu if he had the chance. Of course, the prerequisite was that he had enough confidence. If he didn't, he wouldn't have done it. After all, Yang Hongwu had given him the Heaven's Wrath Spear. He felt that it was too mysterious and too powerful. However, the most important thing right now was how to stop the attack of the Scourge Palace. How to stop the Heaven's Wrath Spear. Tai Tulong and Shan Hai Guanyuan knew very well that the Heaven's Wrath Spear before them was extremely terrifying. Even if they joined forces, they could barely stop one attack from the Heaven's Wrath Spear. If the Palace Master of the Scourge Palace appeared, they would be no match for him. They could only rely on Yang Hongwu. If they couldn't stop him, they would be in big trouble. Jingshin finger. Yang Hongwu snorted coldly as a gigantic finger appeared in the void. This finger instantly struck the long spear, causing a deafening sound to reverberate. A loud bang rang out. Yang Hongwu was forced back several steps. The Heaven's Wrath Spear was only a few feet away. However, the powerful impact still made Yang Hongwu lose his balance. He was almost injured. Chapter 1999. Even the Heaven's Wrath Spear couldn't kill this guy. This surprised him. He narrowed his eyes. Although this was only a projection of the Heaven's Wrath Spear, its power was still quite terrifying. Even a half-stepped Dao Lord wouldn't dare to take this attack lightly. However, Yang Hongwu did it. This shocked the Heaven's Wrath Mountain. This guy wasn't simple at all. He probably had a supreme treasure on him. Perhaps he had obtained that item. Only that item could contend against the Heavenly Wrath Spear. Heaven Demon Dao Sword. He had the power of the Sky Demon Dao Sword. This was why the Heaven's Wrath Palace was here. This youth must have obtained the Sky Demon Dao Sword and its inheritance. He must have obtained the supreme treasure. Kid, you're not bad. However, do you know who you're about to face? The Heaven's Wrath Mountain said coldly. It's just the Heaven's Wrath Palace. Yang Hongwu didn't care at all. He looked at the Heaven's Wrath Mountain and knew why he was so calm. The Heaven's Wrath Spear was indeed powerful, but it wasn't like he couldn't deal with it. Namely, even if he couldn't win, he could still teleport away. The Heaven's Wrath Palace wouldn't be able to stop him. As for Mountain Sea Moonwatcher and Tai Tulong, Yang Hongwu could give up. Tai Tulong especially wasn't a simple guy. I want to see who's so arrogant and domineering that he could even disperse the projection of my Heaven's Wrath Spear. At this moment, a loud voice rang out. Everyone looked over and saw a man walk out of the clouds. This man was extremely tall, and his eyes were like endless stars. They were unfathomable. This man was none other than the Palace Lord of the Heaven's Wrath Palace, God Wrath Massacre. His name was extremely domineering. Slaying gods and slaying demons. If gods came, slay gods. If demons came, slay demons. The divine wrath of Heaven's Wrath could definitely be ranked in the top 5, or even the top 3 in the entire sky-reaching continent. It could be seen how powerful and domineering his strength was. This was also why the Divine Wrath Palace had such a high status in the sky-reaching continent and was feared by many. Heaven's Wrath God. Young Master, this guy is the Palace Master of Heaven's Wrath Palace. He's extremely powerful. Rumor has it that he's ranked among the top 3 in the Tongtian continent. He's even stronger than the Black Demon Patriarch and the Qianshan Patriarch. With the Heaven's Wrath Spear in his hand, even the Black Demon Patriarch and the Qianshan Patriarch might not be able to defeat him. Tai Tulong explained to Yang Hongwu with a solemn expression. Heaven's Wrath Palace. This was also the reason why the people of the Heavenly Scourge Palace were so overbearing. In the Tongtian continent, if one wasn't a top force, one would usually choose to avoid the disciples of the Heavenly Scourge Palace. After all, the Heavenly Scourge Palace was too powerful and overbearing. God Wrath Massacre? Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes and looked at the other party. This guy's aura was indeed powerful. Kid, you're quite talented. Are you willing to be my disciple? God Wrath Massacre looked at Yang Hongwu and said. God Wrath Massacre had to admit that this young man before him was the most talented person he had ever seen. He was young, but his cultivation had already reached the Emperor realm. Of course, this wasn't the most important thing. There were many people at this age who had reached this level of cultivation. The most important thing was that this young man had a powerful strength. His combat strength was extremely strong. His talent was astonishing. If he was allowed to grow, he could definitely reach the level of a half-step Tao Lord. If he could become his disciple, the Heaven's Wrath Palace's strength would increase greatly. You want to take me as your disciple? Yang Hongwu chuckled. This guy was thinking too much. Even Jiga would have to think twice if he wanted to take him as his disciple, let alone God Wrath Massacre. It was impossible. A mere half-step Tao Lord wanted to take him as his disciple? What a joke. He had already killed more than one half-step Tao Lord expert. He had even killed one of the incarnations of the Tao Lord, Tian Sha. Although God Wrath Massacre was very powerful, he was still far from an expert like Tian Sha. Even Tian Sha's incarnation, God Wrath Massacre, might not be able to resist him. Yang Hongwu wasn't. Yang Hongwu had enough strength. In addition, he had the power of creation, the life seal, and the devouring furnace. These trump cards could restrain Tian Sha's incarnation. However, God Wrath Massacre was different. He didn't have the ability to restrain Tian Sha's incarnation. What do you think? If you become my disciple, you'll receive my protection. In the lands of Skyspan, no one will dare to do anything to you. Everyone will treat you with respect. Given your talent, if you have enough time and resources, you'll surpass me. In fact, you might even become a Tao Lord. The Scourge God looked at Yang Hongwu. Although he saw a trace of contempt in Yang Hongwu's eyes, he didn't care. Geniuses were all proud, especially geniuses like Yang Hongwu. It was very normal for a genius like Yang Hongwu to have such a performance. If one didn't have a bit of pride and confidence, then no matter how good one's talent was, they might not be able to grow. True geniuses were all confident in themselves. You are a Tao Lord? Yang Hongwu said coldly. I didn't even agree to Berserker and Tian Sha. Who do you think you are? God Wrath Massacre's expression changed. This was a slap in the face. He didn't give him any face at all. But as a half-step Tao Lord, how could he not be angry when he was looked down upon like this? No matter how well-mannered a person was, he would still be angry. Besides, it was him, God Wrath Massacre. He had always been a very domineering person. If he couldn't get it, then he would destroy it. The youth in front of him was too talented. Moreover, it was very likely that he had obtained the secret of Black Fiend Town, the legendary supreme treasure, and the supreme inheritance. This made it even more impossible to let him go. If he let him go, it would be equivalent to leaving an incomparably powerful enemy for himself in the future. Do you know what you were saying? God Wrath Massacre looked at Yang Hongwu. If you don't want to, then you can die. However, Yang Hongwu's words stunned him. Of course he knew about Quang Zhan and Tian Sha. Tian Sha was a supreme powerhouse sealed within the Black Fiend Abyss. As for Quang Zhan, it was rumored that he was the disciple of Jiga. His strength was incomparably strong, and he was also the guardian of Tian Sha. Both of them were supreme experts. They were all Tao Lords. He had heard of them, but had never seen them before. Chapter 2000. Yang Hongwu remained calm in the face of the enraged Heaven's Wrath Massacre God. He was indeed very strong. Yang Hongwu couldn't deny this. He was the strongest opponent Yang Hongwu had ever faced, apart from Tao Lords. You want to kill me? Yang Hongwu laughed. What a bold claim. Let me see the true Heaven's Wrath Spear. Yang Hongwu waved his hand, and a formation appeared in the air. The formation instantly enveloped the entire Black Fiend Town. This was the basis of Yang Hongwu's confidence. Before leaving Black Fiend Town and entering the Black Fiend Abyss, Yang Hongwu had laid down an array formation. At the start, Yang Hongwu was prepared to leave Black Fiend Town and return to the realm of the gods, and then completely take away this array formation. However, he hadn't expected that the formation he'd set up as a precaution would actually be effective. If you want to see it, you'll have to pay the price with your life. Even if you have that supreme treasure and that person's inheritance, it'll still be the same. After the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God said coldly, something appeared above his head. That thing wasn't his. It was a shining golden spear. This spear was the legendary Heaven's Wrath Spear. After the Heaven's Wrath Spear appeared, the entire Black Fiend town was enveloped by a domineering aura. In the face of such a terrifying aura, everyone in Black Fiend town trembled. Even Tai Tulong and Shanghai Guanyue, the two late-stage sovereigns, paled. This aura was too terrifying and domineering. If the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God used the Heaven's Wrath Spear to attack, no one present would be able to withstand it. Only half-step Dowlords might be able to fight back a bit. As for the rest of them, they were completely unable to fight back at all. Of course, Yang Hongwu was different. Although Yang Hongwu hadn't reached the sovereign realm, let alone half-step Dao Lords, his strength couldn't be estimated with common sense. Kid, it's not too late for you to submit now. At this moment, the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God looked high and mighty. His tone was arrogant, as if everything was already under his control. Although he realized that there was a formation here, he still had the Heavenly Wrath Spear in his hand. Unless a Dao Lord appeared, no one would be a match for him. That was why he chose to use the Heavenly Wrath Spear. That was why he was so unbridled. Do you really think you're invincible just because you have the Heaven's Wrath Spear? Yang Hongwu snorted coldly and waved his hand. At this moment, the formation of Black Fiend Town was completely activated. Terrifying tribulation clouds appeared in the void. This tribulation cloud contained terrifying lightning. This formation actually attracted the lightning tribulation. From that, when did this brat set up a formation? Furthermore, this formation was so powerful that even he felt threatened by it. At this moment, the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God did not have enough confidence. There was most likely another expert behind this brat. Could it be that one of the experts from the lands of Heavenspan had made a move? There weren't many people in the Skyspan continent who could make the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God fear, but there were some. One of them was naturally the Skyspan ancestor. That person was a half-step Dao Lord just like him. He was the true #1 expert in the Skyspan continent. He was known as the #1 expert in the Skyspan continent. There was no need to doubt that. If the person behind Yang Hongwu was the Skyspan ancestor, then he would be in big trouble. Furthermore, only the ancestor of the Skirich sect would be able to achieve such a level of attainment in the Tao of formations. There was a powerful formation master behind him, and it was said that the formation master was second only to the ancestor of the Skirich sect. Given enough time, even the Skyspan ancestor wouldn't be able to break the formation. As for this array formation, he really couldn't think of anyone else who could bring him danger. As for Yang Hongwu, he had to admit that his talent was extremely outstanding. However, he didn't really acknowledge his strength. As for the formation, it was even more impossible. If it were anyone else, they would have the same thought. Is this your trump card? This formation is indeed very strong, but it's still not enough in front of the Heaven's Wrath Spear. Break! The Heaven's Wrath Massacre God shouted. With a wave of his hand, the Heaven's Wrath Spear erupted with dazzling light and pierced into the sky. The purpose of this attack was to break the formation. The Heaven's Wrath Spear's aura was very terrifying. It seemed to be able to pierce through everything. When the Heaven's Wrath Spear reached the edge of the formation, it encountered a strong obstruction. It was like a cosmic crystal wall of a great world. Before long, the Heaven's Wrath Spear tore a small crack in the barrier. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes. This attack put a lot of pressure on him. This formation had cost him a lot of effort. At this moment, one of his clones was at the core of the formation, using the Life Seal and the Primordial Saber as the core of the formation. It had consumed a lot of his energy. If this continued, he might not be able to withstand it. He had to admit that the Heaven's Wrath Spear was indeed terrifying. However, Yang Hongwu knew that he would definitely win this time. This was because this formation was connected to the defensive formation of the Black Fiend Town and the Black Fiend Abyss. If this formation was broken, it would be the same as breaking the barrier between the Heaven's Wrath Spear and the Heaven's Wrath Spear. If this formation was broken, the barrier between the Black Fiend Abyss and the Heaven's Wrath Spear would be opened. Therefore, no matter what, the Heaven's Wrath Massacre god couldn't break this formation this time. Even if he had the ability, Wild War and Giga wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. Once the formation was on the verge of breaking, even if Giga didn't make a move, Wild War would definitely make a move. Because of this, a crack had already appeared at the edge of the formation's defensive formation. Moreover, this crack was still expanding under the attack of the Heaven's Wrath Spear. It made cracking sounds as if the formation's defensive formation would soon be torn apart and destroyed. Yang Hongwu was still very calm. Although his forehead was covered with beads of sweat, which showed that Yang Hongwu was under great pressure and had consumed a lot of energy, he didn't. Chapter 2001. Who do you think you are? If you were Giga, you might be able to say something like that. But you're far from qualified. Unless you're a Dao Lord, you'd better scram as far as you can. Yang Hongwu was extremely confident. Although this fellow was pretty strong and had a supreme treasure, the Heavenly Wrath Spear, it was impossible for him to break the formation. Therefore, he was destined to lose this battle. As for whether he would die or not, Yang Hongwu wasn't confident that he could kill him. Damn it, you little bastard. You can be arrogant for now. Once I break the formation, it'll be your death. Yang Hongwu said coldly. Yang Hongwu smiled. Victory was already in his hands. If he didn't want to break the formation first, he could still take the initiative and give Yang Hongwu a headache. However, this guy just had to take the initiative to break the formation first. He was courting death. Look, Heaven's Wrath God was infuriated by Yang Hongwu's arrogance, but he held back. He thought that Yang Hongwu was provoking him to stop him from breaking the formation. In fact, he didn't know that Yang Hongwu's goal was to make him attack the formation madly. Young master, what should we do? Unlike Yang Hongwu, who was extremely calm, Tai Tulong and Shanhai Guanyue were extremely anxious. The two of them looked at the formation and saw that it was on the verge of breaking. Once the formation was broken, they would be the targets of the divine wrath. Tai Tulong and Mountain Sea Guanyue knew that they had no chance of winning against Heaven's Wrath God. In front of them, Heaven's Wrath God was an insurmountable mountain. They were qualified to delay and fight against ordinary half-step Dao Lords. However, they had no confidence in fighting Heaven's Wrath God. They didn't even have the will to fight. Don't worry. Although he is very strong, it is impossible for him to break the formation. Yang Hongwu said confidently, although, of course, supporting this formation consumed a lot of his energy. However, he was not worried at all because he knew that he was already in an invincible position. Seeing Yang Hongwu's confidence, Tai Tulong and Shanhai Guanyue heaved a sigh of relief. However, Tai Tulong didn't know why Yang Hongwu was so confident. This was a peerless expert ranked in the top 3 of the Skyspan continent. How terrifying was the Heaven's Wrath God with the support of the Heaven's Wrath Spear? He was the most clear. However, Yang Hongwu was so confident. This meant that Yang Hongwu definitely had a huge trump card. What exactly was this trump card? Yang Hongwu still hadn't revealed his true strength. This was too terrifying. At this moment, he truly realized that Yang Hongwu's strength was only the tip of the iceberg. What kind of existence was behind him? Tai Tulong, who had been interested in Yang Hongwu, felt very conflicted now. This meant that he didn't stand a chance. If he dared to cause trouble for Yang Hongwu, he would be courting death. His life was now under Yang Hongwu's control. He didn't want to become someone else's servant or puppet, even if the other party had an incomparably powerful backer. Yang Hongwu didn't know that Tai Tulong was feeling so conflicted. What Yang Hongwu wanted to do now was to find a way to kill the Heaven's Wrath God. If he could kill the Heaven's Wrath God and seize his supreme treasure, the Heaven's Wrath Spear, then his strength would really rise to a higher level. Although it was not to the extent of breaking through the Emperor Realm and entering the Sovereign Realm, it was still possible for him to enter the middle stage of the Emperor Realm or even the late stage of the Emperor Realm. Currently, he was only at the early stage of the Emperor Realm. If he was already at the hegemon level of power, He wouldn't have needed to rely on Jiga and Berserker to deal with this half-step downward Skywrath god. Clang. However, Yang Hongwu found it very strange. Heaven's Wrath Spear was also a supreme treasure. It couldn't possibly enter the eyes of peerless experts like Jiga and Berserker. They definitely had the strength to take it. If Jiga and Berserker wanted Heaven's Wrath Spear, they could definitely get their hands on it. But why didn't they do so? Yang Hongwu was very curious. Heaven, no matter what, Heaven's Wrath Spear was still a terrifying treasure. Although it couldn't compare to his life seal, it couldn't be too weak. If a Tao Lord used such a supreme treasure, its power would be terrifying. Or maybe it was disdain. Hongwu thought to himself. Just as the light from the Heaven's Wrath Spear was about to tear the array formation apart, a dazzling light burst forth from the array formation. It was as if there was some sort of power supporting it. The array formation that was about to be torn apart was actually repaired. Heaven's Wrath God was so angry that he almost coughed up blood. That's impossible. Open up. Furious to the extreme, the Heaven's Wrath God roared, and the Heaven's Wrath Spear appeared in his hand. He poured his magic power into the spear, causing it to grow even larger. Its aura became even more terrifying, as if it was going to tear apart all of Tongtian. This attack was already the Heaven's Wrath God's greatest strength. Boom! With a loud bang, the Heavenly Wrath Spear hit the barrier of the array. However, the attack failed to create a crack. Instead, the powerful attack bounced back. This made the Heavenly Wrath Massacre God so angry that his body trembled. He was almost sent flying out of the array. This time, Tai Tulong, Shan Haiguan Yue, and the others were dumbfounded. Even the disciples of Heaven's Wrath Palace were the same. They couldn't believe that their palace lord, who was so powerful, couldn't use his strongest attack, the Heaven's Wrath Spear, to break a mere formation. Moreover, this was a formation set up by an emperor. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. They couldn't believe that this was real. Chapter 2002. At this moment, the Scourge God finally realized that this array formation was actually linked to the defensive array formation of the Black Fiend Abyss. The defensive formation of the Black Fiend Abyss wasn't something he could break. Even a Tao Lord expert might not be able to do it. He was just a half-step Tao Lord. Even with a supreme divine weapon like the Scourge Spear, he still couldn't do it. The formation set up by this young man was so mysterious that it was directly linked to the defensive formation of the Black Fiend Abyss. How did he do it? He must have used some kind of supreme treasure to link to the defensive formation of the Black Fiend Abyss. The Lunar Wrath deity didn't believe that it was because he had obtained a supreme inheritance or a supreme treasure from the Black Fiend Abyss that he was able to do all this. Because it was rumored that the defensive formation of the Black Fiend Abyss was to prevent the devilish chi within the Black Fiend Abyss from leaking out and to seal that supreme expert. Thus, if the boy before him had obtained the inheritance, it would be impossible for the inheritance to contain such a secret technique and treasure, unless the boy himself possessed such an ability and possessed such a formation treasure that could alter such a powerful defensive formation. No, the Divine Wrath Massacre God knew very well that it was impossible for him to break the array formation. This array formation was a defensive array formation connected to the Black Fiend Abyss. The person guarding the Skyspan continent would never allow anyone to break it. In that case, that brat was practically in an undefeatable position. The Scourge God was even more furious when he thought this through. He was the palace lord of the Scourge Palace, but he had been played by a mere emperor. If news of this got out, how could he show his face? Because of this, the Scourge God was even more furious. Little bastard, I didn't expect you to have such means. However, you still have to die. I can't break this formation for the time being, but killing you won't be a problem. As long as I kill you, I'll lose control of this formation, and the formation will break on its own. The Divine Wrath Massacre deity had figured everything out. He instantly turned his spearhead and targeted Yang Hongwu. The terrifying power of the Heavenly Wrath Spear instantly condensed. This time, The Heavenly Wrath Spear's target was Yang Hanwu, not the defensive formation, because Tai Tulong and Mountain Si Guanyue were on high alert. This time, the Scourge God wasn't attacking the formation, but was targeting them. The two of them had no ability to resist, but they had no choice but to block it. If they couldn't, only death would await them. How could they not be worried? Tai Tulong and Tai Tulong had already taken out their weapons and raised their auras to the maximum. At this moment, they were already in peak condition. They were only waiting to block this attack. If they could block it, they could live. If they couldn't, only death would await them. This was a struggle between life and death. Only looking at the Scourge Spear, the power of the Scourge God was faintly flickering like ripples on the surface of a lake. Under the power of the Scourge God, the entire space seemed to be on the verge of shattering. It seemed to be moving slowly, but in fact, it was breaking through space. Its speed was unbelievable. In a blink of an eye, the Scourge Spear appeared in front of the three of them. Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. Scourge God, I didn't expect you to discover it. Unfortunately, it's too late. You've used up too much energy. Moreover, I've already set it up. It's impossible for you to deal with me now. Yang Hongwu was full of confidence. With a wave of his hand, a huge furnace appeared. The Devouring Furnace. This was Yang Hongwu's Devouring Furnace. This supreme divine ability had now been strengthened, allowing Yang Hongwu to integrate into the formation. At this moment, the Devouring Furnace's power had increased by many times compared to before. In particular, its defense was even more shocking. It could be said that unless a Tao Lord took action or Yang Hongwu used up all his magic power and mental energy, no one would be able to break through the defenses of the cauldron. Yang Hongwu and the other two were enveloped in the Devouring Furnace. The Scourge Spear instantly struck the Devouring Furnace. With a loud bang, a terrifying force exploded. The world seemed to be torn apart. Cracks appeared in the void, as if it was about to collapse. However, the Devouring Furnace only shook a little and made a loud noise. It was as unbreakable as the great bell of heaven and earth. It seemed that if one wanted to break this furnace, they would have to destroy this part of the world. The surrounding disciples of the Scourge Palace could not believe that their palace lord, who used to be invincible, had been defeated time and time again. Moreover, his opponent was only an emperor. Everyone looked at Yang Hongwu in shock. They were all speculating about the background of this young man, the emperor-level warrior. He actually had so many techniques and such ability. With a mere emperor-level cultivation, he was able to block the strongest Scourge God of the Scourge Palace, who was a half-step Tao Lord. Such methods, such ability, how enviable was it? If they had such ability, why would they have to submit to others? Even more, some female disciples looked at Yang Hongwu with sparkling eyes. Ji Xiao, talented and powerful. He had many techniques and seemingly endless treasures. Such a young man, such a husband, could not be more perfect. One failure after failure infuriated the divine wrath massacre god. However, he suppressed the flames in his heart. Where in the world did this young man come from? To think that he would have such means and so many treasures to protect himself. Could it be that this lad has really met Tao Lord Berserker before? Thinking of this, the murderous aura in the sky wrath massacre god's eyes lessened. This young man was too strange and too terrifying. His cultivation base was only at the sovereign emperor realm, but he relied on various means and treasures to block his attack. Even if he continued, he might not be able to kill him. Moreover, even if he could kill him, he would have to pay a great price. However, the heavenly wrath massacre god was extremely unwilling to give up just like that. The kid before him had very likely obtained a supreme inheritance from the Black Fiend Abyss, an unparalleled treasure that countless powerhouses were vying for. Although he said that he had the heavenly wrath spear, he knew very well that he had not completely mastered or refined it. He only had the temporary right to use it. The owner of the heavenly wrath spear was the weapon of the Scourge Palace Lord, the Scourge Tao Lord. As the successor of the Scourge Palace Lord and the Scourge Palace Lord, he only had the right to use it. He did not truly possess the heavenly wrath spear. Chapter 2003. The divine wrath massacre god longed for a supreme treasure that truly belonged to him. The Sky Demon Tao's sword in the Black Fiend Abyss was exactly what he wanted. Once he obtained the supreme inheritance, it meant that he had a 90% chance of breaking through to the Tao Lord realm. Once he entered the Tao Lord realm, it was equivalent to reaching the heavens in a single bound. This was also the reason why he was so determined to obtain the supreme inheritance and supreme treasure. Yang Hongwu didn't care about what he was thinking. At this moment, Yang Hongwu wanted to completely destroy the divine wrath massacre god. Yang Hongwu couldn't tolerate wasting his time. Moreover, it could be said that he had already reached a point where it was either you die or I die. It was impossible for him to retreat at this time. Old thing, the formation can't be broken. Your time of death has come. Your supreme treasure, the divine wrath spear, is mine, Yang Hongwu said. The divine wrath massacre god widened his eyes when he heard these words. His fury had reached its peak. This little bastard actually dared to be so arrogant. He was so arrogant that he even vainly wanted his divine wrath spear. What a bold claim. What a big tone. If I don't kill you today, I won't be the divine wrath massacre god. The divine wrath massacre god roared and erupted with all his magic power. He grabbed the divine wrath spear tightly in his hand. The divine wrath spear shone brightly and turned into a sharp arrow that shot towards Yang Hongwu. If it hit, Yang Hongwu would probably be killed or crippled. This one attack was the divine wrath massacre god's full strength. This time, the divine wrath massacre god was attacking with all his might. He didn't have any defense. This was enough to prove how angry Yang Hongwu was when he said those words. This one, an Emperor Realm warrior, actually wanted to snatch his divine wrath spear. This was contempt and humiliation. This one, just now, Yang Hongwu had said that he would kill him. He still wanted to infuriate him. Yang Hongwu smiled as he watched the heaven's wrath god launch an all-out attack at him. This old man had finally been completely enraged by him and had lost his mind. This old thing was very strong, but now he had lost his mind. This meant that his plan had succeeded. It wouldn't be easy to deal with this old man if he was always so calm. After all, the other party's strength was obvious. But now the old man had lost his mind and was crazily attacking Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu knew that his opportunity had come. And just as the heavenly wrath spear was about to hit him, he used void travel and disappeared. The heavenly wrath god's attack was completely ineffective. After his attack missed, it was as if he had punched cotton, making him feel extremely aggrieved. This guy was actually toying with him. This made the heavenly wrath god extremely angry. His eyes were red and his veins were bulging. A violent aura erupted from his body. The disciples of the heavenly wrath palace who were close to him were all sent flying. When Yang Hongwu appeared again, the heavenly wrath god attacked Yang Hongwu again. Die! Haha! Don't you want to kill me? Come on! Yang Hongwu continued to taunt him. He didn't care at all. This guy couldn't kill him now, so he didn't have any worries. Besides, this was still within his formation. The old man couldn't do anything to him. He couldn't even break the formation. He was really in an invincible position. In fact, Yang Hongwu really didn't have enough confidence in provoking the old man if they were in another place. However, here, at the edge of Black Fiend Town, using the defensive formation of Black Fiend Abyss and Black Fiend Town as a combination to form a composite formation with infinite power, he wouldn't be able to resist the attack of the heavenly wrath spear in the heavenly wrath god's hand, even if he used the life seal and the Hongmeng saber as the eye of the formation. Therefore, Yang Hongwu was able to suppress the heavenly wrath god under these favorable circumstances. He was able to taunt the heavenly wrath god without the slightest scruple. Furthermore, the old man was helpless. If I don't kill you, I swear I'm not human. The heavenly wrath god roared. At this moment, the heavenly wrath god no longer had that high and mighty look. He was like an injured mad dog. Seal! Yang Hongwu shouted. Hongwu roared and struck out with a hand seal. Instantly, the spell formation turned into a seal, which enveloped the heavenly wrath god, slaying god. This formation was something that Yang Hongwu had developed by referring to the curse seal that Berserker had used to seal the Sky Fiend. When this seal was integrated into a large formation, its might was very tyrannical. Now, Yang Hongwu's method of arranging formations could be said to be unpredictable. He could change the formation at any time, making it both offensive and defensive. Open. The heavenly wrath god sensed Yang Hongwu's intention and naturally wasn't willing to be sealed. If he was sealed, he would completely lose the chance to kill Yang Hongwu. Moreover, there might even be great danger. Here, although the heavenly wrath god was still infuriated and his killing intent towards Yang Hongwu was getting stronger, he still felt the danger. Here, therefore, the moment Yang Hongwu set up the formation, the heavenly wrath god weakened his attack on Yang Hongwu and changed his main target to the formation. First, he had to break the formation. He absolutely couldn't let it be sealed. Tai Tulong and Shan Hai Guanyue were shocked. They didn't expect Yang Hongwu to be so strong. It was as if there was no upper limit to his strength. He could defeat anyone. They couldn't see where his upper limit was. This was the most terrifying thing about him. You still can't break this formation. Your time of death has come. If you know what's good for you and hand over the heavenly wrath spear, I can spare your life. Yang Hongwu looked at the heavenly wrath god and said, "Of course, you can also choose to submit to me and become my servant. That way, you won't have to hand over the heavenly wrath spear." The heavenly wrath god was even more furious when he heard Yang Hongwu's words. This was equivalent to saying the same thing to Yang Hongwu back to him. This made the heavenly wrath god's blood rush to his head. "Damn little bastard, you're forcing my hand." The heaven's wrath god didn't care about anything else at this moment. He was an unparalleled expert of the sky-reaching continent, and his combat strength was ranked in the top 3 of the sky-reaching continent. Yet, he was being humiliated like this. It was worse than killing him. Magic power burn, heaven's wrath spear, annihilation. At this moment, the god of Scourge actually burned his own dermic powers and turned into a sun, emitting a terrifying light. The heaven's wrath spear also grew brighter and brighter. At this moment, the heaven's wrath spear exploded with an aura that could destroy everything. This aura was actually comparable to a Tao Lord expert. Chapter 2004. Even if I have to pay a high price, I will kill you. Divine Wrath God roared. Entire. It was as if he didn't care about anything else and was now fighting with his life on the line. In the face of such a situation, Yang Hongwu was having a headache. I can't defeat him, Yang Hongwu thought to himself. At this time, it would be too stupid to confront him like this. At this time, if he fought with his life on the line, he wouldn't be able to resist at all. Even if he could kill his opponent, the consumption would be too great. It could be said that the loss outweighed the gain. Therefore, Yang Hongwu wanted to avoid the battle. After Divine Wrath God's strong period, he couldn't burn his spiritual power for long. Once his spiritual power was exhausted, then it would be his chance. Bam! Divine Wrath God's attack was too overbearing. Its speed was also very shocking. At this moment, after burning his spiritual power, its power was simply off the charts. With a loud bang, this attack instantly destroyed a house. Yang Hongwu was caught off guard and was sent flying. This attack injured him. Little bastard, your time has come. Today I must kill you. Seeing Yang Hongwu injured, Divine Wrath God seemed to have received a great encouragement. He became even crazier and rushed in front of Yang Hongwu in an instant. Yang, seeing his opponent rushing over, Hongwu disappeared in a flash. Take! With a wave of his hand, a defensive barrier appeared in front of him. This blocked another attack from Divine Wrath God. Just when he was about to kill Yang Hongwu, such a formation appeared and blocked his attack. He couldn't kill Yang Hongwu. This made Divine Wrath God very sullen and depressed. Die! Divine Wrath God's expression became uglier after each attack was neutralized. There was no other way. He couldn't kill his opponent. You can't kill me. Now it's my turn. Yang Hanwu saw that Divine Wrath God was almost exhausted. This was the opportunity he had been waiting for. At this moment, Divine Wrath God was exhausted. At this time, the Divine Wrath Spear was far less powerful than before. While Yang Hanwu himself had taken a few pills, in addition to the power of the devouring furnace, his consumption was very small. It could even be said that he didn't consume any energy at all. He was already in peak condition. Prison of heaven and earth. Sleepy. Yang Hongwu shouted, and a strong light burst out from his hand. The light turned into a huge prison, instantly trapping the Scourge God inside, making it impossible for him to move. Damn it, open for me. The Scourge Slayer God was infuriated. He attacked the prison in a frenzy, trying to break it. However, all his efforts were in vain. The power of the prison seemed to be an unbreakable prison, trapping him within. It seemed that only death awaited him. There was no way out. What secret technique is this? At this moment, the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God felt the threat of death. True death terrified him. His frenzied killing intent began to fade, replaced by endless fear. A secret technique that can kill you. After Yang Hongwu trapped him, the devouring furnace erupted. The power of creation was integrated into it. What was even more terrifying was that the endless red lotus karmic fire turned into a terrifying fire dragon, flying towards the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God. The Heaven's Wrath Massacre God, who was trapped in the prison of heaven and earth, had no room to resist. He could only defend himself. Face the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God regretted Yang Hongwu's terrifying methods. He regretted provoking this young man. Kid, let me go. Although he regretted it, he wouldn't show it on his face. At this moment, he was trying his best to resist Yang Hongwu's attack. He looked at Yang Hongwu with a ruthless gaze. If looks could kill, Yang Hongwu would have died a tragic death. In fact, Yang Hongwu didn't expect to be able to trap the Heaven's Wrath God. After all, the Heaven's Wrath Spear was the Heaven's Wrath prison. It was really lucky that the Heaven and Earth prison could trap him. If he hadn't lost his mind and gone crazy, Yang Hongwu wouldn't have stood a chance. I said it's impossible. If you surrender and hand over the Heaven's Wrath Spear, I can spare your life, Yang Hongwu said. Here, although the Heaven's Wrath Spear was trapped by Yang Hongwu, it was still impossible for him to seize the Heaven's Wrath Spear directly. He could only trap the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God and the Heaven's Wrath Spear in the prison and use the devouring furnace, the power of creation, and the powerful karmic fire to burn away the Heaven's Wrath Spear and the Heaven's Wrath Spear. Here Yang Hongwu could still kill the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God and seize the Heaven's Wrath Spear if he persisted. However, it would take too much time. It wasn't something that could be done in a short time. Here, what Yang Hongwu lacked was time. He didn't want to waste too much time. If not for the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God, Yang Hongwu would have already returned to the deity realm. Here at that time, Yang Hongwu could actually give up on the Heavenly Wrath Massacre God and ignore him. He could directly leave Black Fiend Town, go to Iron Mountain City, refine the planar boat, and then return to the Divine Realm. But now that things had come to this point, Yang Hongwu was unwilling to give up. No matter what, he had to try to seize the Heaven's Wrath Spear. Little guy, let him go. At this moment, a voice sounded. Yang Hongwu was naturally familiar with this voice. It was none other than Ji's voice. Yang Hongwu was very surprised. He didn't understand. Did the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God have some background? Jigu actually wanted him to let him go? Senior, is that you? Yang Hongwu asked. It's me. Give me face and let the Heaven's Wrath Massacre God go. Is that okay? Ji's voice sounded in Yang Hongwu's spiritual sea. Why? Yang Hongwu asked. He wants to kill me. Senior, you want me to let him go like this? Of course. Yang Hongwu was unwilling. What kind of joke was this? The other party wanted to kill him. Now he wanted him to let him go so easily. This was impossible. It wasn't Yang Hongwu's style of doing things. Can you give me a reason to let him go? He's the only descendant of a friend of mine. Jigu sighed. If you let him go, I can compensate you. Ji's tone revealed helplessness. From what Yang Hongwu heard, This Jigu seemed to have some unclear relationship with the Heaven's Wrath Massacre god. As for what it was, Yang Hongwu wasn't interested in knowing. After all, this was his personal matter. I can let him go, but I want the Heaven's Wrath spear, Yang Hongwu said. Chapter 2005. It's my business whether I can refine it or not. You can't expect me to let him go like this, right? Yang Hongwu said, how about this? I have something here that might be of some help to you. Although it's not as good as the Heaven's Wrath Spear, I think you should want it very much. Jiga said, what is it? Yang Hongwu didn't think that there was anything that could be compared to the Heaven's Wrath Spear. It was a supreme treasure that could be compared to the Life Seal. A fragment of the Life Seal. Jiga said, what? Yang Hongwu exclaimed. He couldn't believe his ears. If it was really a fragment of the Life Seal, then it was really important to Yang Hongwu. It was far more precious than the Heaven's Wrath Spear. Although the Heaven's Wrath Spear was also a supreme treasure that could be compared to the Life Seal, it wasn't very useful to Yang Hongwu. The Life Seal was the supreme treasure that was most compatible with him. Jigu was right. Even if he obtained the Heaven's Wrath Spear, the possibility of refining it was too small. Moreover, supreme treasures like the Life Seal and the Heaven's Wrath Spear were almost impossible to coexist. Therefore, even if Yang Hongwu refined the Heaven's Wrath Spear, he could still display the might of the Heaven's Wrath Spear. It might even cause a conflict between the Heaven's Wrath Spear and the Life Seal. If the two supreme treasures fought to the death, then the loss wouldn't make up for the gains. You really have a fragment of the Life Seal? Yang Hongwu took a deep breath and asked. If he could obtain a fragment of the Life Seal, then it would mean that his Life Seal would be complete. For Yang Hongwu, this was extremely important. Of previously, Yang Hongwu had received news that a fragment of the Life's Great Seal was in a small world. Originally, Yang Hongwu had planned to find a way to go to that small world to look for it after dealing with the matters in the Divine Realm. However, if Jiga could get that fragment for him, it would naturally be for the best. Of course, Jiga said, I have no reason to lie to you. You should have already obtained most of the fragments of the common people's Great Seal. Although the fragment I have here is not the largest, if I give it to you, the common people's Great Seal that you have is not complete, but it should be the last fragment. Yang Hongwu took a deep breath and said, good. If it's the fragment of the Life Seal, then I agree. Good. As the sound of Ji's voice faded, a beam of light flew towards Yang Hongwu. This object was filled with boundless life chi. This object was none other than the fragment of the Great Seal of Life that Yang Hongwu was familiar with. The aura of this fragment was comparable to an entire world. Hongwu was overjoyed. He waved his hand and collected the fragment into his common people's great world. After this fragment entered the common people's great world, Yang Hongwu's aura began to grow. The entry of this fragment caused the aura of the common people's Great Seal to increase exponentially. Of course, Yang Hongwu had yet to completely refine it. This fragment seemed to have given birth to a shred of will. This trace of will seemed to want to fight for the initiative and was unwilling to be erased. Therefore, if Yang Hongwu wanted to truly subdue and refine it, then he had to completely refine this fragment and merge it with his Life Seal. After Yang Hongwu agreed, he sensed that the prison of heaven and earth he had set up had been dispersed by an invisible force. The force wrapped around the heavenly Wrath God Slayer and the heavenly Wrath Spear as it tore through the void and teleported to the outside world. Look! Seeing this scene, Yang Hongwu was incomparably shocked. Powerful! Jiga's strength was too powerful. He was actually able to break through his formation so easily and directly lead people out. This kind of strength was far from what he could compare to. If Yang Hongwu did not agree to let go of the Heaven's Wrath God slaying spear and the Heaven's Wrath God slaying spear in his hand, Jigu could forcefully take them away. This feeling made Yang Hongwu extremely uncomfortable. His life was in the hands of others. If Jigu really wanted to do something to him, he could easily kill him. In the end, he was still too weak. His cultivation was not enough, and his life was not in his control, especially when he was in the world of others. This made him even more aggrieved. This was the Zhigu divine palace, the inner world of Zhigu. If Zhigu wanted to kill him, it would be easy. If he was in an ordinary small world, he could rely on his Dharma, Eye of Annihilation, to gain an absolute advantage. However, it was impossible to do so in the heaven-reaching realm. Once he used his Dharma, Eye of Annihilation to destroy this world, he would probably be directly destroyed. Therefore, at this moment, Yang Hongwu did not want to continue staying in the Zhigu Divine Palace. Young Master. After Heaven's Wrath God disappeared, Tai Tulong and Shan Hai Guanyue were shocked. Heaven's Wrath God was a half-step Dao Lord with a supreme treasure like the Heaven's Wrath Spear. However, he was still suppressed and disappeared. Could it be that Yang Hongwu killed him, or even turned him into ashes? If this was true, it would be terrifying. The disciples of the Heaven's Wrath Palace were even more shocked and worried. This was especially true for Heaven's Wrath Mountain. He could no longer feel the aura of his son, Heaven's Wrath God. This terrified him to the extreme. He was well aware of how powerful his son was. In the heaven-reaching realm, there were very few who could fight against him. There was no one who could kill him. Even the heaven-reaching ancestor could not do so. After all, the heaven-reaching ancestor was publicly acknowledged as the #1 expert in the entire heaven-reaching realm. "Little bastard, where's my son?" Heaven's Wrath Mountain shouted. He was afraid. If Heaven's Wrath God was killed, it would be a fatal blow to the Heaven's Wrath Palace and him. Heaven's Wrath God. Yang Hongwu laughed. "I've already exiled him. Now it's time for all of you to die." Naturally, Hongwu wasn't stupid enough to reveal that Heaven's Wrath God had been rescued by Zhigu. However, Yang Hongwu found it strange. Heaven's Wrath God seemed to have a deep relationship with Zhigu. However, his father, Heaven's Wrath Mountain, didn't seem to have any relationship with Zhigu. Could it be that Heaven's Wrath God was the reincarnation of someone from Zhigu? That was true. That was the only plausible explanation. Of course, perhaps Heaven's Wrath God was the successor of one of Zhigu's friends. However, this was nothing to Yang Hongwu. He didn't care. Chapter 2006. Everyone, let's fight him. Heaven's Wrath Mountain shouted. He didn't believe that Yang Hongwu could defeat Heaven's Wrath God. However, Yang Hongwu was here as if nothing had happened, while his son, Heaven's Wrath God, had disappeared. This made him very worried. Even his aura had disappeared from this side of the world. If someone said that Heaven's Wrath God was fine, he wouldn't believe it. Moreover, Heaven's Wrath Mountain knew very well that Yang Hongwu would definitely not let him go. He had always been like this when dealing with his enemies. Therefore, he could foresee that Yang Hongwu would be the same. He would eliminate them all. If that was the case, it was better to fight to the death. Perhaps they might still have a chance of survival. When the people of Heaven's Wrath Palace heard this, some of their eyes turned red. A strong fighting spirit erupted from their bodies. It was very intense. These people, these disciples, were the most loyal subordinates of Heaven's Wrath God. Their master had been killed, so they would definitely take revenge. But, yes, there were some who weren't like this. Although they were also disciples of Heaven's Wrath Palace, they weren't that loyal. In the face of life and death, loyalty had to be thrown aside. Life was the most important. What are you all standing there for? Do you think he will let us go? Stop dreaming. He will definitely not let us go. Only by attacking together will we have a chance of survival. Other than that, we have no other chance. Seeing that some disciples of Heaven's Wrath Palace didn't show any signs of moving, Heaven's Wrath Mountain was furious. These bastards had once received the protection of Heaven's Wrath Palace and received so many resources. Now that Heaven's Wrath God was in trouble, they didn't even think of repaying his kindness. "Sir, we are willing to submit." What Heaven's Wrath Mountain didn't expect was that his words not only made some of the disciples launch a life and death attack on Yang Hongwu, but also made them surrender directly. They knew that Yang Hongwu was too strong. Moreover, although they were disciples of Heaven's Wrath Palace, in reality, many of them were bullied by Heaven's Wrath Mountain. They had long disliked Heaven's Wrath Mountain. Now that Heaven's Wrath God was dead and there was such a strong enemy, it would be strange if they didn't resist. This was their best chance. Tang Zhihui, you're courting death. Do you know that? I will kill you. Heaven's Wrath Mountain's wrath reached the extreme. He brandished his weapon and charged towards Tang Zhihui. This time, he wanted to kill this traitor. Heaven's Wrath Mountain, I have tolerated you for a long time. Tang Zhihui was furious when he heard that. He refused to back down. Although he was slightly weaker than the Heaven's Wrath Mountain, he was still a ruler. He was an elder of the Heaven's Wrath Palace, so his status was naturally much lower than the Heaven's Wrath Mountains. He had always been bullied by the Heaven's Wrath Mountain. It had begun when he joined the Heaven's Wrath Palace. After so many years of resentment, he finally exploded. You've done so many things in the past. You forced my partner to her death, and you kill my disciple. Do you think I don't know? Tang Zhihui said loudly. Everyone, don't listen to him. That bastard from Heaven's Wrath Mountain has done a lot of heinous things. You should all be well aware of this. Even the resources that we've obtained from fighting for our lives will be ruthlessly snatched away by them. Are you willing to accept this? So many disciples of Heaven's Wrath Palace heard this and remembered the many unfair things Heaven's Wrath Mountain had done to them. They were all furious. Now, young master's strength is unparalleled. We are following the will of the heavens. If we go against young master, only death awaits us. Tang Zhihui shouted. We are willing to submit to young master. The other disciples of Heaven's Wrath Palace also changed sides. This sudden change caught Yang Hongwu off guard. However, it was normal. God, Heaven's Wrath Mountain's way of doing things was too ruthless. Who knew how many things he had done wrong to the disciples of Heaven's Wrath Palace? Now that his backer had fallen, how could others not explode? You all deserve to die. Kill. Kill them first. Kill these traitors. Heaven's Wrath Mountain naturally had a lot of confidence. He controlled the majority of Heaven's Wrath Palace's power. These people were his confidants. There were many death warriors. The disciples and death warriors were naturally loyal to him. Soon, the two groups of people clashed. Yang Hongwu, Tai Tulong, and the others became outsiders. This change was too sudden and too dramatic. Let people be caught off guard. Yang Hongwu didn't care. Hongwu couldn't be bothered with this. Looking at these people, Yang Hongwu frowned slightly. Of course, he was leaving because he wanted to nurture some forces for his son, Yang Tianjun. Tai Tulong was unreliable, but these people could still be used well. If they kept each other in check, it might work. If he left Heaven's Wrath Palace to Yang Tianjun, he didn't have enough power to suppress it. His cultivation was too weak. Once he left, Yang Tianjun didn't have the strength of a half-step Dao Lord. He also controlled so many resources. Heaven's Wrath Palace, Black Fiend Town, and Iron Mountain City. How could he control them if he wasn't strong enough? It would definitely attract the attention of other experts. When the time came, it would cause great trouble for Yang Tianjun. It might even endanger his life. What do we do now, young master? Tai Tulong asked. Tai Tulong really wanted to take control of Heaven's Wrath Palace. It was much, much stronger than his Iron Mountain City. If he could take control of Heaven's Wrath Palace, Iron Mountain City would become one of the top factions in Skyspan. Add to that the countless resources in Heaven's Wrath Palace, and he might even have a chance to become a half-step Dao Lord. It was impossible for him not to be envious. He knew very well that Yang Hongwu would leave sooner or later. If Yang Hongwu took control of Heaven's Wrath Palace, he would have a very good chance of becoming its master. The only obstacles were Yang Hongwu's son, Yang Tianjun, and Mountain Sea Guanyue. He didn't fear Yang Hongwu's son, Yang Tianjun. He was very weak, not even at the ruler realm. Even if his combat strength was shocking, he was only at the early ruler realm. The only one who posed the greatest threat to him was Mountain Sea Guanyue. Chapter 2007. However, what he didn't know was that his thoughts couldn't escape Yang Hongwu's eyes. Yang Hongwu knew exactly what he was thinking. Young master, this is a good opportunity to subdue the Heavenly Scourge Palace. The Heavenly Scourge Palace is one of the top forces in Tongtian continent. If young master can unify the Heavenly Scourge Palace, then young master can become the ruler of the top forces in Tongtian continent. Seeing Yang Hongwu remain silent, Tai Tulong continued. Unify the Scourge Palace? Yang Hongwu looked at Tai Tulong. How could he not know what he was thinking? I'll leave this place sooner or later. Unifying the Scourge Palace won't do me any good, Yang Hongwu said. I think Tai Tulong wants to unify the Scourge Palace himself. At this moment, Shanghai Guanyue opened her mouth. Although she was tempted, she also wanted to unify the Scourge Palace. If she could merge the Scourge Palace into Shanghai City, then the strength of Shanghai City would rise to an unbelievable level. However, she wasn't like Tai Tulong. She knew her own limits. Although she was a late-stage ruler, if Yang Hongwu wanted to unify the Scourge Palace in Shanghai City, she wouldn't have the ability to do so. Even if a faction like the Scourge Palace was successfully unified, it wouldn't last long without a half-step Dao Lord. It would be swallowed up by other powerful factions. Nonsense, Tai Tulong hurriedly explained. Don't listen to her nonsense, young master. That's not what I meant. Even if young master wants to leave the Tongtian continent, the young master still has to stay here. You should leave some resources for the young master, right? If young master doesn't take me with you, I'll definitely do my best to support the young master. My Iron Mountain City will naturally submit to the young master. Shanghai Guanyue frowned slightly. She wasn't very clear about these matters. All right, stop arguing. Yang Hongwu looked at the two coldly. Both of them were ambitious people, but it was undeniable that Tai Tulong's ambitions were greater. Here at this time, the Heaven's Wrath Mountain and the traders of the Heaven's Wrath Palace were already locked in battle. However, the Heaven's Wrath Mountain was powerful and had many trump cards. In the end, they had the upper hand. Yang Hongwu was not in a hurry to make a move. In fact, he had been wondering if he should subdue the Heavenly Scourge Palace and combine the power of the Heavenly Scourge Palace and Black Fiend Town. If Yang Hongwu really did that, it would indeed give birth to a huge force. However, this force would not be something that Yang Tianjun could control. This was what Yang Hongwu was worried about. Yang Tianjun was not like him, as he did not have that many powerful trump cards. While moreover, he had no way of passing those mystiques to his son, Yang Tianjun. That was a huge problem. You're the ones who forced me to do this. Die. At this moment, a furious roar erupted as a terrifying aura appeared. This aura came from the Heaven's Wrath Mountain. At this moment, the Heaven's Wrath Mountain took out an item that was filled with a terrifying devil chi. This devil chi seemed to have come from a supreme devil realm. This devil chi, even Yang Hongwu, was shocked by this devil chi. The Heaven's Wrath Mountain opened a box, and a wisp of green smoke came out of the box. This wisp of green smoke instantly fused into the Heaven's Wrath Mountain's forehead. At this moment, the Heaven's Wrath Mountain's expression changed, and his aura became extremely terrifying. Devil chi devil. No, it should be that he had turned into another person. He was a terrifying devil. The moment this devil appeared, the entire Black Fiend Town was shrouded in a terrifying aura. This was the aura of lightning. This was the heavenly tribulation. In the void, a huge tribulation cloud appeared. It was filled with purple lightning that was enough to destroy the world. This purple lightning tribulation was directed at the Heaven's Wrath Mountain. The Heaven's Wrath Mountain had now turned into a terrifying devil. The aura of this devil was very familiar to Yang Hongwu. It was very similar to the Heaven's Wrath Mountain. The Heavenly Demon Clan? Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes. No, that's not right. This isn't the Heavenly Demon Clan. Could it be the Heavenly Demon Clan? In the myriad worlds, there was the Heavenly Demon Clan. In fact, there was also the Heavenly Demon Clan. The Heavenly Demon Clan wasn't the Heavenly Demon that Yang Hongwu knew. The legendary Heavenly Demon Clan was even stronger and more terrifying than Zetian's original body. It was rumored that the patriarch of the Heavenly Demon Clan was extremely powerful at his peak. It was rumored that he was in existence above the Tao Lord realm. Of course, young Hanwu didn't know any of this. He only knew some clues about the so-called Heavenly Demon Clan. At this moment, although the aura of the Heaven's Wrath Mountain was similar to the Heaven's Wrath of the Heavenly Demon Clan, there was still a huge difference. This is the aura of the Heavenly Demon Clan. Suddenly, a memory flashed in Yang Hongwu's mind. This was the memory that he had obtained from Yi Tianxing's mind. Yang Hongwu had originally thought that it was the Heavenly Demon Clan, but that wasn't the case. This was the aura of the Heavenly Demon Clan. It was the aura of the Heavenly Demon Clan after becoming a demon. The king of the Heavenly Demon Clan in the Heavenly Demon Realm was the Heavenly Demon Monarch. He was the descendant of the Heavenly Demon Emperor. He had always wanted to find the Heavenly Demon Dao Sword and become the true emperor of the Heavenly Demon Clan. Actually, the Heavenly Demon Monarch was also a ruthless person. He was very talented, but his bloodline power was restricted. There was no way for him to break through the shackles and break through the bloodline restrictions left behind by the Heavenly Demon Emperor. This was why he couldn't reach the level of the Heavenly Demon Emperor. However, he didn't have the Heavenly Demon Dao Sword and hadn't become the true emperor of the Heavenly Demon Clan. Therefore, he couldn't obtain the recognition of the ancient existences of the Heavenly Demon Clan. However, in order to break through the bloodline restrictions, he found another way to strip away his demonic side. His demonic side came from the pressure of the Heavenly Demon King. The Heavenly Demon King was like a huge mountain that was pressing down on his head, giving birth to an inner demon. Now, the thing that the Heaven's Wrath Mountain had obtained from the box was the Heavenly Demon King's inner demon. Although the Heavenly Demon Monarch's strength wasn't as terrifying as the Heavenly Demon Emperor's, he was still a mid-stage Dao Lord. His strength was very terrifying, so his mental demon naturally wasn't weak. This, in fact, Yi Tianxing had brought a wisp of inner demon into the sky-reaching continent. Chapter 2008. Wild Warrior and Ji Gu actually sensed it after it was sent in, but they didn't care. More importantly, Zhiga had deliberately left this inner demon behind. Of course, the reason why Zhiga didn't eliminate this inner demon had a lot to do with the Heavenly Demon King. If the Heavenly Demon King's inner demon was eliminated, then the Heavenly Demon King would have a great chance of breaking through to the Heavenly Demon King's realm. In that case, the sealed Heavenly Demon King's strength would be weakened, but the strength of the Heavenly Demon Clan would increase greatly. Therefore, Zhiga didn't want the Heavenly Demon race's strength to increase for the time being. However, if he didn't remove the Heavenly Demon King's inner demon, the Heavenly Demon King wouldn't be able to increase his strength. However, if the Heavenly Demon King found a chance to break through the seal, his strength would be much more terrifying than the Heavenly Demon King. After all, the Heavenly Demon King was in existence on the same level as him. Now, Zhiga didn't have that much time to suppress the Heavenly Demon King. He also had enemies who were even more terrifying and put him under great pressure. Of course, Yang Hongwu didn't know this. He was still far from reaching that level. "Kid, your aura is making me very uncomfortable." The Heaven's Wrath Mountain looked at Yang Hongwu. In fact, it could be said that the Heaven's Wrath Mountain was a combination of the Heaven's Wrath Monarch's inner demon and the Heaven's Wrath Mountain. He was a completely different person. His strength had increased tremendously and was comparable to a Dao Lord expert. He was no longer in existence that a half-step Dao Lord could fight against. Yang Hongwu's expression changed. This was really troublesome. He hadn't expected the Heaven's Wrath Mountain to use such a trump card. Clang! However, compared to death, this was actually much better. Originally, Yang Hongwu had thought that if these fellows had just left, he wouldn't have wasted his time chasing after them. However, these guys thought that he would chase after them relentlessly. This made Yang Hongwu feel helpless. At this stage, the Heavenly Demon King's inner demon still appeared. This made Yang Hongwu very speechless, since he didn't go looking for trouble, but trouble would always come looking for him. It was very helpless, very annoying. So what? Yang Hongwu said, "Should I call you Heaven's Wrath Mountain now? Or a Heavenly Demon Monarch? Be it Heaven's Wrath Mountain or Heavenly Demon Monarch." The other party's eyes narrowed. Demonic chi flickered as he said, "That's not my name. I'm now called the Heavenly Demon King." Heavenly Devil King? Yang Hongwu was slightly taken aback when he heard this. He did not expect this fellow to think of himself as a demon and was even a Heavenly Demon King, the king of the Celestial Devil Clan. However, there were many devil clans, and the Celestial Devil Clan had many levels. If the Celestial Devil Clan was truly at the top, it would be extremely terrifying, comparable to the Heavenly Monster Clan. But now, if this guy could break through to the next level, he could really become the king of the celestial demons. However, this fellow was merely an inner demon. Even after fusing with the Heaven's Wrath Mountain, it was impossible for him to become the true ruler of the celestial demons. "Brat, your strength is not bad, and your talent is also very shocking. How about you submit to me?" At this moment, the Heaven Demon King said. Yang Hongwu laughed. This guy actually dared to say such a thing. "Are you here to make fun of me?" Yang Hongwu said, "I don't have that much time to waste with you. No matter who you are, you'll die if you go against me. How dare you talk to me like that? You're the one who's courting death." The Heaven Demon King was furious. He knew that the Heaven's Wrath God wanted to subdue Yang Hongwu, but Yang Hongwu refused. However, the Heaven's Wrath God was only a half-step Tao Lord. His current strength was already in the Tao Lord realm. Moreover, he was confident that he could easily kill the Heaven's Wrath God. Yang Hongwu was not his opponent at all. Moreover, he was not in his peak state now. He had just possessed the Heaven's Wrath God. As long as he was given more time, he would reach the true Tao Lord realm. A true Tao Lord was not someone a half-step Tao Lord could contend against, even if the other party had supreme treasures. The Heaven Demon King rushed towards Yang Hongwu. The disciples of the Heaven's Wrath Palace were all pleasantly surprised. They did not expect the Heaven's Wrath Mountain to still have such ability when it was about to be killed. This was naturally good for them. They still had a chance. Only if the Heaven's Wrath Mountain or the current Heaven Demon King could kill Yang Hongwu or even force Yang Hongwu to retreat, then they would have a chance to live. "Oomph!" Yang Hongwu snorted. His entire body was suffused with golden light. He struck out with a finger. This was the god's Jingshan finger. A terrifying power burst out from this finger and instantly enveloped the entire world. It was as if it was the finger of an immortal ancient god that came from a world. It could easily kill gods and demons, especially those who were filled with demonic chi. This, wherever the finger went, the demonic chi could not resist at all and was instantly dispersed. This made the Heaven Demon King feel very aggrieved. He was an expert of the Tao Lord realm. This guy was just an Emperor realm expert. However, this technique and that finger were the nemesis of his power. At this time, the entire space was filled with terrifying flames. These flames were the red lotus karmic fire. The karmic fire had a great restraining effect on the Heaven Demon King. What was even more terrifying was that the formation of this space had also erupted and sealed the space, making the Heaven Demon King's consciousness unable to escape. He realized that Yang Hongwu wanted to kill him completely and not give him a chance to escape. However, even at this time, the Heaven Demon King did not give up. He knew that he still had a chance. After all, Yang Hongwu's strength was still weak. Moreover, he had consumed a lot of energy before. He still had a trump card, which was to devour everyone here. After devouring their flesh and blood, he could recover his strength and even return to his peak. "You little bastard, you can't kill me!" The Heaven Demon King shouted loudly. His entire body became incomparably tall, turning into an ancient heaven demon. He looked exactly like the Heaven Demon King, but his entire body was black and filled with endless demonic chi. A terrifying, devouring power erupted from his body. He wanted to devour the flesh and blood of the disciples of the Heaven Scourge Palace to recover and improve himself. At this moment, a disciple of the Heaven Scourge Palace beside him was directly grabbed and devoured by him. This scene left the disciples of the Lunar Scourge Palace horrified to the extreme. Of course, this included the people of Black Fiend Town. They all looked at the Heaven Demon King in horror, afraid that they would be caught and devoured like that. Chapter 2009. Can't Kill. Looking at how arrogant the Heaven Demon King was, Yang Hongwu smiled in disdain. In this world, there is no demon that I can't kill. As long as I have enough strength, I can kill them all. As he spoke, Yang Hongwu waved his hand, and a small tree appeared in the formation. This small tree had green leaves and branches. After it appeared, its roots instantly pierced into the ground and crazily devoured the Heaven Demon King's power. After discovering this scene, the Heaven Demon King's eyes widened. He was extremely shocked. He could feel his power flowing away crazily. Moreover, he couldn't stop it. The existence of this small tree made him unable to resist at all. "What tree is this?" the Heaven Demon King shouted. "An existence that can kill you." Yang Hanwu didn't explain. This sapling was the Fortune Divine Tree. This was only a sapling, and it hadn't given birth to a true consciousness. However, in Yang Hongwu's common people's great world, it had already been growing for a long time. It had been nurtured for a long time. The reason why Yang Hongwu had released the Divine Tree of Fortune this time was because when the Heavenly Demon King had appeared, Yang Hongwu had sensed that the Divine Tree of Fortune had released a consciousness of longing. Yang Hongwu released it and merged it into one with the formation. With his Fortune Divine Tree as the core of the formation, he let the Fortune Divine Tree crazily devour the Heaven Demon King's power. In this way, not only could it easily help him deal with the Heaven Demon King, but it could also allow the Fortune Divine Tree to improve. Why wouldn't he do such a good thing? At this moment, the Heaven Demon King was crazily devoured by the Fortune Divine Tree. He couldn't care about others, and he didn't even have the strength to devour others. He could only passively resist the terrifying, devouring power of the Fortune Divine Tree, but it was still futile. Yang Hongwu didn't expect this scene. He didn't know that the Fortune Divine Tree could restrain the Heaven Demon King. It was too shocking. One must know that the Fortune Divine Tree was only a sapling now. According to the strength of the Fortune Divine Tree, in fact, it hadn't even reached the Emperor realm. One could imagine how big the gap was. If the Divine Tree of Creation was really upgraded, wouldn't it be able to restrain all of the devil race? Yang Hongwu was overjoyed. If he had known earlier, he would have nurtured the Fortune Divine Tree. The Fortune Divine Tree could provide him with the power of fortune to improve his cultivation. He hadn't even reached the hegemonic level yet. Once he did, he would be able to truly control the power of creation. Those who could truly control the power of creation were definitely at the Tao Lord level. As for ruler-level experts, the so-called power of creation they controlled was not complete. It was a level lower than the true power of creation. I admit defeat. I'm willing to submit to you. Make that tree stop. At this time, Heaven Devil King truly realized that he could not defeat Yang Hongwu. He knew that if this continued, he would truly die. This was something he absolutely did not want. Moreover, as Heaven Devil King's inner demon, he was crafty and cunning. He was willing to pay any price to survive. As a devil race, especially a mental demon race, they had no bottom line. This so-called Heaven Devil King was one of them. Since he could become Heaven Devil King's inner demon, he naturally had his merits. There was no doubt about his strength. If he could be allowed to grow, he would become very terrifying and powerful. Unfortunately, before he could fully mature, he was restrained by the Heavenly Demon King, so he couldn't grow unbridled. What he didn't expect was that the Heavenly Demon King would be so ruthless as to directly separate him from his body and seal him in a box. In fact, the Heavenly Demon King's actions would cause great damage to his strength. However, in the long run, it would be of great benefit to the Heavenly Demon King's strength and allow him to break through. There was a possibility of him becoming a Tao Lord. If Heaven Devil King didn't pay the price and separated him, he would be a great threat to Heaven Devil King once he grew to a certain extent. Moreover, Heaven Devil King wouldn't be able to break through. He had to admit that Heaven Devil King did have the potential to become an unparalleled expert. However, Heaven Devil King wasn't willing to accept such a failure. Therefore, although he was sealed, he was still looking for an opportunity. He even wanted to return to Heaven Devil King's body. There weren't many people who could kill him. Only experts at GG's level could do it. Heaven Devil King definitely couldn't do it himself. If that wasn't the case, Heaven Devil King wouldn't have sealed him in a box and sent him to sky-reaching continent. Let you go, Yang Hongwu said coldly. Impossible. You've wasted too much of my time. Moreover, the power in your body is of great help to my divine tree of creation. It's impossible for me to let you go. If you let me go, I can help you find the Sky Demon Dao, sword of the Sky Demon tribe. The Sky Demon Dao sword is a supreme treasure with boundless power. If you can obtain it, your strength will increase greatly. You can also obtain the legacy of the Sky Demon Emperor. The inheritance of the Heavenly Demon Emperor is something that even the Heavenly Demon King wants. He is an expert on the same level as Zhige. Don't you want his inheritance? Heavenly Demon King said loudly. He appeared to be fawning and begging for mercy, but in fact, he hated Yang Hongwu to the bone. Once he found an opportunity, he would counterattack. However, after being restricted by the divine tree of creation, he wouldn't dare to attack Yang Hongwu rashly. He would only attack Yang Hongwu when he had absolute confidence in his chances. He was greedy for life and afraid of death. As long as you let me go, I can use the Celestial Demon King's memories to help you obtain the Celestial Demon Dao sword. I said it's impossible. Besides, the Celestial Demon Dao sword isn't that easy to obtain. Yang Hongwu snorted. He had to admit that Yang Hongwu also wanted the Heavenly Devil Dao sword. This Heavenly Devil Dao sword was even more powerful than the one in Heaven's Wrath God Slayer's hands. Even though the Heavenly Devil Dao sword was in a sealed state, it was still very powerful. Even if I obtain the Heavenly Devil Dao sword, I won't be able to refine it unless I kill Heaven Devil King. Do you think I don't know that? Yang Hongwu sneered. Chapter 2010. In truth, Yang Hongwu didn't know if he could refine the Sky Demon Dao sword. After all, he had never tried it before. The Sky Demon Dao sword contained the true spirit of the Sky Demon Emperor. Whether he could destroy the true spirit of the Sky Demon Emperor was up to Yang Hongwu. He wasn't confident. If he could destroy the true spirit of the Sky Demon Emperor, then he could refine the Sky Demon Dao sword. If he couldn't, then he couldn't refine it. After all, the Sky Demon Emperor was an apex expert. Although he was sealed, his strength was on the same level as Zhige. He wasn't someone Yi Futian could fight against. Even a trace of his true spirit was terrifying. You can die now, Yang Hongwu said coldly. Wait, I still have something that I can exchange, the Heaven Demon King shouted once again. What is it? Speak. Yang Hongwu said, I don't have time to waste with you. Show me your greatest sincerity. If I'm satisfied, I'll let you go. Of course. The Sky Demon King breathed a sigh of relief. Sir, can you stop this tree first? Otherwise, I won't be able to hold on. You don't have the right to negotiate with me. If you don't speak, then die. Seeing him like this, Yang Hongwu couldn't help but look at him coldly. If the Heaven Demon King still wanted to say something at this moment, Yang Hongwu wouldn't hesitate at all. He would kill him with his bare hands. Seeing Yang Hongwu like this, the Sky Demon King took a deep breath. He didn't dare to be long-winded anymore. He said, I know of a treasury of the Sky Demon Emperor. There are countless treasures in his treasury. Although they can't compare to the Sky Demon Dao sword, they're still very shocking. The treasury of the Sky Demon Emperor. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes when he heard this. He had to admit that the treasury of such a peerless expert was very attractive. However, to Yang Hongwu, it was not that attractive. If he could not obtain it in a short period of time, if he couldn't get it in a short time, Yang Hongwu wouldn't care about it. This was because once he used the planar boat to leave the Divine Hall of Self-Defense and the Realm of Ingress, he probably wouldn't be able to use the planar boat again. This was the most crucial point. If he could return after leaving, it would be more like it. However, if he was in another plane, he wouldn't be able to enter that world without a seat. Where is it? This? Yang Hongwu asked. Is it in the realm of Tongtian, or in another plane? In a small plane, Heavenly Demon King said. Small plane? If it was a small plane, how could a heavenly demon monarch not be able to find it? How could it be my turn? Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. Do you think I'm a fool? It seems like there's no need for you to continue living. No, wait, I haven't finished speaking. Young master, don't be in such a hurry. Seeing Yang Hongwu erupting with terrifying killing intent, Heaven Devil King hurriedly stopped Yang Hongwu. He was afraid that Yang Hongwu would directly attack him and beat him to death. What else do you have to say? At this moment, Yang Hongwu was completely in control of his life and death. If there was a chance, Yang Hongwu still hoped to obtain the Heavenly Demon Monarch's treasure trove. After all, it was the treasure trove of an expert comparable to self-defense. One could imagine the richness of the treasure trove. If he could obtain the countless resources, his cultivation would definitely be greatly improved, and his woman would also be able to obtain the greatest benefits. His life would also be astonishingly expanded. In this way, his strength would definitely be improved to an incredible level. In this way, he wouldn't be too passive when facing a Tao Lord expert. However, Yang Hongwu knew very well that if it was so easy to obtain the Heavenly Demon Monarch's treasure trove, the Heavenly Demon Monarch would have taken out long ago. Why would he wait until now? Therefore, there must be something wrong with this. Young master, although the treasure trove is in a small world, experts can't enter it. That world can only accommodate experts in the Emperor Realm. If experts above the Emperor Realm enter, they will be suppressed by the laws. Even Tao Lords will be suppressed. However, if one's cultivation is only at the Emperor Realm, it will be difficult to break through the defense of the treasure trove. He may encounter various mechanisms and formations in the treasure trove and die in there. The Heavenly Demon Monarch has tried countless times, but every time he has failed. The Heavenly Demon King paused for a moment before continuing. Young master, you're different. You're only at the Imperial Emperor Realm, but your combat strength is extremely terrifying. You're comparable to an expert at the Tao Lord Realm. I think that if you enter that world, the mechanisms and formations in that treasury shouldn't pose any difficulty to you. That's why I dare to do this. That's why I dared to make such a request in exchange for my life. Is that so? Yang Hongwu said. How can I be sure that what you said is true? If I'm not wrong, you should belong to the Inner Demon clan. You're the incarnation of the Heavenly Demon Monarch's inner demon, right? You inner demons are extremely cunning. How many words do you have to say? You can't believe a single word you say. Heaven Devil King smiled bitterly. Young master, I'm no longer in control of my life and death. If you want to kill me, you could do it easily. How can I dare to deceive you? If you don't believe me, I can sign a contract with you and become your servant, Heaven Devil King said. He said casually. Yang Hongwu smiled. This guy had a good idea. In fact, although he couldn't fully believe what Heaven Devil King said, half of it should be true. As for signing a contract with Heaven Devil King and controlling his life and death, this was not true. However, he couldn't believe it completely. This guy was from the Heavenly Demon Tribe, and he was also from the Inner Demon Tribe. He was very special. Ordinary people who signed a contract with him and planted a slave seal in him might not be able to control him. Yi Shiwen's soul level and life level were much higher than his. Now, Yang Hongwu cultivated a special secret method. Once a slave seal was planted or a contract was signed, it was absolutely difficult to remove. Even an expert like Zhiga might not be able to remove it. Therefore, Yang Hongwu was not worried. However, Yang Hongwu was thinking about the problem now. He needed time. He didn't have that much time to go to that small world to obtain the Heavenly Demon Monarch's treasure trove. As for Heaven Devil King, if he didn't kill him, he would be a big problem. Annoying. Chapter 2011. This crystal contained the information about the Heavenly Demon Emperor's treasure house that the Heavenly Demon King knew. He didn't want Yang Hongwu to read the memory directly, so he took the initiative to condense a memory crystal. This method was very special, but if it wasn't, under such circumstances, ordinary people wouldn't try it. Yang Hongwu took the memory crystal, but he didn't read it directly. Instead, with a thought, he condensed a divine sense to explore this memory crystal. Although Yang Hongwu wasn't afraid of the Heavenly Demon King's scheme, there was no harm in being careful. Sure enough, when Yang Hongwu's divine sense approached, Yang Hongwu opened his Dharma Eye of Annihilation and saw a shadow in this memory crystal. This shadow was the Heavenly Demon King's scheme. Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. This guy was really unwilling to give up and still wanted to attack him. This guy wanted to directly control him when he digested this memory crystal. This idea was good, but it was also impossible. Heavenly Demon King, it seems that you really don't give up. Yang Hongwu snorted softly, and killing intent burst out from his eyes. In that case, you can go to hell. After that, Yang Hongwu waved his hand, and the divine tree of creation burst out with an even stronger devouring power, crazily devouring the power of the Heavenly Demon King. The Heavenly Demon King turned pale with fright. He didn't expect that Yang Hongwu could see through the wisp of demon chi hidden in the memory crystal so easily. This wisp of demon chi could be said to be one of his greatest trump cards. Even a late-stage Tao Lord might not be able to see through it. Only an expert at Jiga's level would be able to see through it. However, Yang Hongwu saw through it. Moreover, he directly used a killing move on him. This time, Yang Hongwu wanted to kill him directly. However, there was nothing he could do. He couldn't resist. At this moment, he simply didn't have the strength to resist. Wait, if you kill me, you won't be able to obtain the Heavenly Demon Emperor's treasury. My memory is wrong. If you kill me, you will lose the chance to obtain the treasury forever. Moreover, you will be targeted by the Heavenly Demon King. I know that you are strong, but the Heavenly Demon King has reached a very powerful level. Although he hasn't reached the Heavenly Demon Emperor's level, he isn't far from it. If you don't kill me, you can use me to restrict heaven. Demon Monarch, I'm the manifestation of Sky Demon Monarch's mental demons. As long as I'm alive, Sky Demon Monarch will be greatly restricted. You can use me to deal with Sky Demon Monarch. I can even help you control the Sky Demon race, shouted Sky Demon King loudly. He didn't want to die, so he racked his brains to stop Yang Hongwu from killing him. But now, how could Yang Hongwu let him stay? After scheming again and again, how could Yang Hongwu let him get away with it? Such a guy was like a ticking time bomb. Therefore, no matter what, Yang Hongwu wouldn't leave behind any future troubles. He would indeed leave the Tongtian continent. However, his son Yang Hongwu wouldn't. Before leaving, Yang Hongwu would try his best to create a safe environment for his son. Yang Hongwu couldn't let go of an unstable factor like Sky Demon King. Therefore, Yang Hongwu had never thought of leaving Sky Demon King in the Tongtian continent. At the very least, he would seal him. Sky Demon race? Yang Hongwu said, I don't care. A mental demon like you is incomparably cunning and untrustworthy. Therefore, I won't let you stay today. With that, Yang Hongwu took out the devouring furnace. Most of Sky Demon King's power had already been devoured by the Fortune Sacred Tree. Now, Yang Hongwu took out the devouring furnace to give Sky Demon King a fatal blow. Damn it! When he saw Yang Hongwu take out this terrifying furnace, he knew that Yang Hongwu really wanted to kill him this time. Sky Demon King's power was almost completely devoured by the Fortune Sacred Tree. The appearance of this furnace made him feel threatened. If the Fortune Sacred Tree could devour his power, it wouldn't be able to destroy his demonic Tao origin. As long as the demonic Tao origin wasn't destroyed, he could make a comeback. It could be said that as long as the demonic Tao origin wasn't destroyed, he was immortal. Even if only a wisp of the demonic Tao origin was left, he could still make a comeback. This was the terrifying part of the mental demon race. This was also the reason why Sky Demon King couldn't kill him even though he was the mental demon of Sky Demon King. It wasn't that the Heavenly Demon King didn't want to kill him, but that he couldn't do it himself. If he forcefully killed him, both sides would suffer losses. The Heavenly Demon King might even die. As the mental demon of the Heavenly Demon King had yet to die. Sky Demon King would definitely die. Furthermore, the stronger Sky Demon King became, the more powerful his mental demon would become. Because of this, Sky Demon King had no choice but to pay a huge price to separate the Sky Demon King from his body. Although this would cause considerable damage to Sky Demon King's origin source in a short period of time, it would be beneficial in the long run. If the mental demon that was separated could be accidentally killed by someone, it would be equivalent to using external forces to obliterate the mental demon. Once the mental demon was completely destroyed, Sky Demon King's strength would have a huge breakthrough. Unfortunately, the Heavenly Demon Monarch had always been very disappointed. After the Heavenly Demon Monarch had been separated and sent to the Giga Divine Hall, the Giga Divine Hall had not been able to eliminate the Heart Demon Monarch, which had made the Heavenly Demon Monarch very upset. However, this was also within his expectations. If Giga couldn't even see through this, he wouldn't have been able to become a powerhouse of that level. Sky Demon King had actually killed 2 birds with 1 stone by sending his mental demon Sky Demon King into Sky-reaching land. On the one hand, he could use Sky Demon King to stir up trouble in Sky-reaching land. On the other hand, he could solve a problem for himself. On the other hand, he could let people search for the Sky Demon Dao, sword in the chaos. If someone killed Sky Demon King, it would be even better. If he could completely eliminate his mental demon, it would be equivalent to him surviving the mental demon tribulation. His cultivation would increase by a huge level. He would break through his bottleneck. You can't kill me. If you kill me, Sky Demon King will break through his bottleneck and reach the Sky Demon Emperor realm. Furthermore, your aura will be locked onto by Sky Demon King and become the key to Sky Demon King's perfected cultivation. You will become the person Sky Demon King must kill. Sky Demon King shouted loudly. Yang Hongwu smiled when he heard this. In fact, he knew very well that what Sky Demon King said was true. If he killed Sky Demon King, it would be equivalent to obliterating the mental demon for Sky Demon King and allowing Sky Demon King's cultivation to improve. Chapter 2012. On the Celestial Demon Continent. In the Celestial Demon Palace, the Celestial Demon Monarch suddenly opened his eyes. I didn't expect that someone would really help me deal with that inner demon. It wasn't Giga who did it. The Celestial Demon Monarch was overjoyed. This was the best news for him. If Giga did it, it would be too difficult for him to reach perfection. In fact, it was almost impossible for anyone to kill his inner demon except for experts at Giga's level. However, such a freak had appeared. His cultivation was far inferior to Giga's, but he had managed to kill his inner demon. How could he not be happy? Only when his cultivation broke through, he would be able to find that person and kill him. Then, he would be able to reach perfection and even break through to a higher realm than Tao Lord. This was what he wanted the most. Therefore, the most important thing for him now was to break through his current bottleneck. Once he was done, he would find that person and kill him to reach perfection. Clang! However, that person was able to destroy his inner demon. His strength was definitely not simple. He was definitely someone with great luck and strength. Even if his realm was not high enough, it would be very difficult to kill him. He had to break through the bottleneck in the shortest time possible. Otherwise, if the time was too long and the other party was allowed to grow, he might not be able to kill him. If the situation did not allow it, the Celestial Demon Monarch would have wanted to find Yang Hongwu and kill him directly. While at this moment, Yang Hongwu also felt a unique aura locking onto him. This aura was the Celestial Demon Monarch's aura. This was a secret technique. It was a secret technique. In fact, it was very similar to the curse mark that Tian Sha had left on his body. For example, now that the Celestial Demon Monarch had been killed by him, someone had left such an aura behind. This was the Celestial Demon Monarch's method. The Celestial Demon Monarch is really not simple. Unfortunately, How can it be so easy to lock onto my aura and location? Young Hongwu chuckled. With a thought, majestic dermic powers erupted. Powerful mental strength was about to obliterate that aura. Just the moment that aura was obliterated, a voice came from the distant void. Kid, I've memorized your aura. The voice came from the celestial demon monarch of the celestial demon continent. Yang Hongwu was shocked. This guy was so powerful that he could tear through the void and transmit his voice. His strength was extremely powerful. He was probably already at the Tao Lord level. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to tear through the void and transmit his voice into the Divine Palace. After all, this was Divine Palace's great world. Divine demon was. Could. Was. Celestial demons' was with it. With it was was SSS. After seeing Yang Hongwu kill the heavenly devil king, Tai Tulong and Shanghai Guanyue were overjoyed. It's nothing. Yang Hongwu smiled faintly. At this moment, although his cultivation did not experience a huge increase, he had gained a lot. Of course, the one who benefited the most was the Divine Tree of Fortune. The Divine Tree of Fortune had more than doubled in strength compared to before. It was evident that the sacred tree of creation had benefited tremendously. Furthermore, the speed at which the sacred tree of creation breathed in the creation aura had increased. It devoured energy from the void and continuously converted it into creation aura. This speed was 10 times faster than before. Yang Hongwu could continuously borrow the fortune chi to refine God transformation pellets. In fact, if the fortune divine tree could grow a little more, his strength could reach the sovereign realm. No, he didn't even need to reach the sovereign realm. As long as he reached the half-step sovereign realm, it would be enough for him to refine Tao transformation pellets. The creation Tao pill was the real precious pill. Even Tao Lord experts wanted to get their hands on this pill. It was of great help to their cultivation base. For those experts who were only at the sovereign realm, they needed it even more. If they could get their hands on the creation Tao pill, it would be easier for them to break through to the Tao Lord realm. Source an endless supply of fortune sacred pills was even more attractive than Tao Lord pills. To Yang Hongwu, it was equivalent to having an endless supply of treasures. However, to Yang Hongwu, the fortune chi wasn't enough for his cultivation. At this rate, even if Yang Hongwu devoured all the creation chi to raise his cultivation, it would be impossible for him to reach the sovereign realm within 100 years. This showed how much spiritual chi Yang Hongwu needed to raise his cultivation to the next level. That was quite terrifying. It could be said that the amount of spiritual energy he needed to cultivate was countless times more than that of ordinary sovereign realm experts. It could even be compared to experts of the Tao Lord realm. This was the most terrifying thing. What was the difference between a sovereign realm expert and a sovereign realm expert? A Tao Lord expert could easily kill dozens or even hundreds of peak sovereign realm experts. It could be said that those below the Tao Lord realm were ants that could be killed with a flick of the finger. This was the difference between an ant and an elephant. Think about it. How many ants could an elephant kill with a stomp? This was the difference. However, Yang Hongwu's spirit chi throughput was comparable to a Tao Lord's. It was enough to show how terrifying the spirit chi Yang Hongwu needed to cultivate was. Ordinary cultivation, sacred grounds, couldn't support the huge amount of spirit chi Yang Hongwu needed. If it wasn't for the fortune sacred tree, Yang Hongwu couldn't imagine how difficult it would be for him to improve his cultivation level. In fact, Yang Hongwu's improvement in cultivation level was like plundering. Along the way, he didn't have much time to cultivate. Most of the time, he directly killed his enemies and seized their vast resources to improve his cultivation level. Even so, Yang Hongwu felt that his cultivation speed was too slow and couldn't support it at all. Hongwu had a premonition that his archenemy, Zi Tian's strength, would probably increase to a very terrifying level. He wouldn't be weaker than him and might even be stronger. This was what Yang Hongwu was worried about. He couldn't wait to reach the Tao Lord realm. Chapter 2013. Young Master, what should we do with the remaining people? Tai Talong asked. Yang Hongwu looked at these people and squinted his eyes. Tai Talong's plan was pretty good. Young Master, please spare us. We're willing to submit. The disciples of the Scourge Palace shouted. How could they care about anything else at this point? Palace, the Lord was gone, and now even the Palace Lord's father was gone. Who would guard the Scourge Palace? Moreover, their lives were at stake. No one wanted to lose their life, especially at this time. Everyone was afraid of death. No one was not afraid of death. Yang Hongwu took a deep breath and looked at Shanhai Guanyue and Tai Talong. In fact, both of them had their own thoughts at this moment. Yang Hongwu was very clear about this. Both of them wanted to integrate the forces of the Scourge Palace and Black Evil Town. After all, this was a huge force. Moreover, the key point was that the treasures of Black Evil Town and the Scourge Palace were a huge fortune. This fortune was quite terrifying. If they could obtain it, it would allow Iron Mountain City and Shanghai City to develop to an unimaginable level. Good. Tai Talong, Shanhai Guanyue, you two will be in charge of the Scourge Palace and Black Evil Town. Yang Hongwu said to the two. Tai Talong, you'll be in charge of Black Evil Town. Shanhai Guanyue, you'll be in charge of the Scourge Palace. Yes, young master. Shanhai Guanyue nodded happily. Tai Talong, on the other hand, was a little unhappy. Compared to the Scourge Palace, Black Evil Town was still a level lower. Moreover, Black Evil Town had been plundered. Its resources were much less than the Scourge Palace. Moreover, the forces of Black Evil Town had been wiped out. As a result, Black Evil Town's strength was far inferior to the Scourge Palace. Tai Talong had great ambitions. Naturally, he was unwilling. Young noble, I'm afraid Mountain Sea Guanyue alone isn't enough to control the Lunar Wrath Palace. Even though you killed the mountain and the Lunar Wrath God, there's still a few old antiques in the palace. Mountain Sea Guanyue alone isn't enough. Young noble, Tai Talong is right. You may have killed the Palace Lord of Scourge Palace, Scourge God, and Scourge Mountain. However, there are many experts in the palace. I'm not strong enough to handle this alone. I need young noble's help. Initially, Shanhai Guanyue was very excited. However, he quickly regained his senses after hearing Tai Talong's words. This matter wasn't as simple as it seemed. There were definitely late-stage sovereigns in the Heavenly Scourge Palace. If he went alone, he might even lose his life, let alone control the Heavenly Scourge Palace. Even if the Heavenly Scourge Palace didn't have experts of that level, the Great Mountain Guardian formation and all kinds of defensive trump cards were extremely terrifying. In the Heavenly Span continent, any major force would leave behind a powerful trump card to protect their headquarters. Otherwise, if the master was not at home, wouldn't their headquarters be destroyed by others? Such a situation was simply impossible. Therefore, most experts would leave behind a powerful trump card in their own forces. After all, that was where their foundation lay. Just like that. Just like her Shanghai City. After she left, Shanghai City also had a powerful force that could withstand external attacks. If experts of the same level as her were to attack, they might not be able to gain an advantage. This was the case for the Lunar Wrath Palace. Even though the Lunar Wrath God had left the Lunar Wrath Palace, it was impossible for outsiders to attack the Heavenly Scourge Palace without the strength of a half-step Tao Lord. I don't have that much time. Yang Hongwu shook his head. If young noble doesn't make the decision, I don't have enough confidence. However, Tai Talong seems very confident. Why don't you leave this matter to him? I think he should be able to complete the task. Mountain Sea Guanyue said. Yang Hongwu was a little surprised. However, he could see that it wasn't that Mountain Sea Guanyue didn't want to occupy the resources of the Lunar Wrath Palace. She knew her own limits. Even without the Lunar Wrath God and the Lunar Wrath Mountain, the Lunar Wrath Palace was still a powerful force. As the saying goes, A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. The Lunar Wrath Palace was still the Lunar Wrath Palace. Even without the Palace Lord, the Lunar Wrath Palace's strength was still terrifying. Although Mountain Sea Guanyue's cultivation had recovered, it was still not enough. If she were to go, she might not even be able to break through the mountain gate. Thus she gave up such a tempting opportunity and gave it to Tai Tulong. Tai Tulong was a shrewd old man. Now that Mountain Sea Guanyue had given up, he naturally didn't dare to accept it. He knew how powerful the Lunar Wrath Palace was. There was no way he could take it down alone. Tai Tulong, you go to the Lunar Wrath Palace. Yang Hongwu said, Young noble, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for me to complete it alone. Tai Tulong said, If I were to join forces with Mountain Sea Guanyue, I might have a chance. However, I'm afraid I won't be able to complete the task alone. In that case, the two of you will go together. Yang Hongwu said, All right, you two get to work immediately. Don't let anything unexpected happen. After that, Yang Hongwu's figure flashed and disappeared from spot. Mountain Sea Guanyue and Tai Tulong exchanged glances. They hadn't expected Yang Hongwu to leave just like that. They lost contact with Yang Hongwu. By now, Yang Hongwu had already used the Void Transmission Mystic Art to arrive at Iron Mountain City. Back then, Iron Mountain City was under Tai Xiaoyao's management. Yang Tianjun was still in seclusion. Yang Hongwu sensed his aura. Yang Tianjun had already completed the chaotic star body. No, he was still in the process of consolidating his cultivation. Yang Hongwu was very satisfied with his son. Yang Tianjun's cultivation was definitely among the best of the younger generation. He was even stronger than his own father. Of course, in terms of combat strength, Yang Tianjun was still far from his father's. After all, he had many trump cards. Only, however, Yang Hongwu still had mixed feelings about being overshadowed by his son, Yang Tianjun. He felt both happy and depressed at the same time. He was happy because he had a very outstanding son. Moreover, it could be said that the student had surpassed the master. He was depressed because his son was too outstanding. His cultivation level had surpassed his father's. Naturally, it was quite embarrassing for him to be surpassed by his son in cultivation level. Chapter 2014. No need. I can go in by myself. Yang Hongwu shook his head and walked towards the cultivation room. This cultivation room was specially set up by Yang Hongwu. Unless the person in the cultivation room opened the door, no one would be able to disturb the person cultivating. Of course, Yang Hongwu was an exception. After all, he was the one who set up the formation. Of course, it was easy to enter. Yang Hongwu entered the cultivation room. At this moment, Yang Tianjun was trembling all over. Yang Hongwu's expression changed slightly. He was at a critical moment in his cultivation. It seemed that the yuan qi of heaven and earth was insufficient. The spiritual qi in the surroundings had been sucked dry. It was not enough to support his cultivation. Yang Hongwu frowned and was very worried. He scolded in his heart. This kid is too careless. He did not prepare enough for his cultivation. If he did not come in by himself, he would have suffered a backlash. Yang Hongwu reached out and placed his hand on Yang Tianjun's back. The majestic creation energy entered his body and replenished the huge amount of spiritual qi that he had consumed. Creation under Yang Hongwu's control, the creation energy turned into stellar energy. This was very beneficial to Yang Tianjun's stellar body. After a while, Yang Tianjun stopped cultivating and opened his eyes. Thank you, father. He looked at Yang Hongwu. He was a little surprised, but also very happy. At this moment, he realized how powerful his father was. He knew very well that if it was not for the energy that Yang Hongwu transferred to him, he would definitely have suffered a backlash. Tianjun, you are too careless. If I did not come back just in time, you would have been injured. Yang Hongwu patted his shoulder and said, Remember, when you cultivate in seclusion in the future, you must be fully prepared. If you make a mistake during your cultivation, you will lose more than you gain. Father, I won't do it again, Yang Tianjun said hurriedly. I hope you will remember, Yang Hongwu said. Father, have you found the planar boat? Yang Tianjun asked again. I've found it. This time, I came to Iron Mountain City to ask you, are you willing to leave the self-defense divine hall with me and your mother? Yang Hongwu looked at him. Even though he knew that the chances of Tianjun Yang leaving with him and Pan and I were very slim, he still wanted to try. After all, this was his son, his only son. It would be good if he could stay by his side. Yang Tianjun shook his head and said, Father, I've said it before. I've grown up and I need to make my own way. If I wasn't worried about Mother, I would have started cultivating on my own. Now that Mother has Father to take care of her, I don't need to worry anymore. Yang Hongwu sighed inwardly at Yang Tianjuan's words. Even though he had expected this, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Since you've already made up your mind, I won't force you. The Skyspan continent isn't as simple as you think. It's full of dangers. The strongest people here aren't just half-step Dao Lords, but true Dao Lords. Yang Hongwu looked at him and said, Moreover, the Skyspan continent won't be peaceful for long. You have to be mentally prepared. Dao Lords? Yang Tianjuan's eyes lit up, and he looked at Yang Hongwu. Father, is what you said true? Do Dao Lords really exist in the Skyspan continent? Yang Hongwu couldn't help but smile bitterly at Yang Tianjuan's excited expression. This kid, he had never seen a true Dao Lord before, so he didn't know how terrifying a true Dao Lord was. Yes, they're Dao Lords. However, Dao Lords are terrifying. They aren't people you can afford to offend. Even I, your father, am far from being a match for them. In front of Dao Lords, hegemons, and even half-step Dao Lords are nothing more than ants. Yang Hongwu explained, there are two true Dao Lords in the Skyspan continent. One is the guardian of the Skyspan continent, the disciple of Zhiga, Dao Lord Crazed Battle. He's extremely powerful and stands at the peak of this world. Of course, if you can gain his recognition, it'll be a great opportunity for you. If I have the chance, I must meet him. Yang Tianjun was pleasantly surprised and continued, Father, where is Dao Lord Berserker now? Have you seen him? Yang Hongwu nodded. Yes, but Dao Lord Crazed Battle is extremely powerful and elusive. It's almost impossible to find him unless he's willing to come out. Yang Hongwu was telling the truth. If Dao Lord Crazed Battle hadn't been willing to meet him, they wouldn't have been able to find him no matter how hard they searched. They wouldn't have been able to enter his spatial world. Yang Hongwu knew this very well. I see. Yang Tianjun was slightly disappointed. Then, Father, who's the other Dao Lord? Where is he? That fellow is extremely strong as well. Compared to Dao Lord Battlecry, he's definitely stronger. However, he hates your father to the core. If you meet him, you absolutely must not mention our relationship. Yang Hongwu was worried when he thought of this. He could foresee that if anything happened in the Skyspan continent, it would have something to do with Tian Sha. He was the most unstable factor in the Skyspan continent. Who's that Dao Lord? Why would you make an enemy of him? Yang Tianjun paused for a moment before asking. He really didn't expect his father to be so bold as to make an enemy of a Dao Lord. He was an expert of the celestial monster race, the #1 expert beneath the celestial monster emperor. His name was Dao Lord Baleful Heaven. He was incredibly powerful, and the lands of Skyspan existed to seal him away. The reason why I offended him was because I ruined his plans, preventing him from breaking the seal and escaping. Yang Hongwu said, Therefore, if you meet Tian Sha, you mustn't reveal that you're my son. Your current strength is far from being his match unless you reach the Dao Lord realm. Otherwise, if you meet Tian Sha, even if it's just a clone, you have to run as far as you can. Yang Hongwu looked at Yang Tianjun and said in a serious tone, In fact, you're even more stubborn than me. However, such an expert is definitely not someone you can fight. Even though you've made some progress in the chaotic star body, it's still far from enough. In front of Dao Lord, as long as you haven't broken through to the Dao Lord realm, you're just an ant that can't withstand a single blow. Chapter 2015. Aside from these two Dao Lords, The other half-step Downlords are quite powerful as well. If you were to fight against a half-step Downlord, you wouldn't be a match for them at all. Yang Hongwu looked at Yang Tianjun and said, "You're still too weak. Unless you're in Iron Mountain City and borrow the power of Iron Mountain City, you'll be able to fight against them." "Father, I know this very well. I won't easily fight against experts," Yang Tianjun said. "Moreover, I'm still very young and haven't cultivated for long. If I'm given more time, no one in the Tongtian continent will be a match for me." Yang Tianjun was very confident when he said this. There was no doubt that the Lord of Heaven's talent was strong. Moreover, his divine body had reached the perfected divine body, which made him even stronger. No, this wasn't a good thing. Yang Hongwu looked at him and said, "You underestimate the people of the world. In a myriad worlds, experts are as common as clouds, and geniuses come forth in large numbers. Many geniuses are beyond your imagination. At your age, there are many people who have reached your level of cultivation. In fact, there are many who are more talented than you. The true strength of a genius doesn't lie in how fast his cultivation improves, but in his foundation, his fighting strength, and his growth potential." The Lord of Heaven was slightly stunned when he heard Yang Hongwu's words. He had never thought of this before. After all, he was still very young, and there were many things that he had never thought of or encountered before. In his mind, cultivation, speed, and talent were the basis of a genius's strength. He hadn't expected Yang Hongwu to say this. In fact, a person's physique and cultivation speed aren't the key to measuring a genius. They only occupy a part of it. You must remember this. A true genius doesn't necessarily have fast cultivation speed or a weak physique. Without a strong bloodline, it doesn't mean that one can't become a powerful genius. In a myriad worlds, many people with seemingly weak physiques have become true experts. Yang Hongwu paused and said, "If your cultivation hasn't reached the Tao Lord realm, you must never go against a Tao Lord expert." "Father, I understand." Yang Tianjun nodded. He knew that what Yang Hongwu said was true. It was all for his own good. "Yes." Yang Hongwu nodded with satisfaction. "It's good that you know. Since you don't want to leave with me, I can't always follow you and take care of you. You have to rely on yourself for many things. I know that my father won't casually leave Iron Mountain City until I become a half-step Tao Lord," Tianjun said. "This time, I'm here to explain some things to you. I also want to let your mother meet you, because I don't know when we'll meet again," Yang Hongwu said. Yang Hongwu was very clear about this point, because he didn't know if he would be able to come back after leaving the Tongtian continent. This was a huge problem. "Father, when are you and mother leaving?" Yang Tianjun looked at Yang Hongwu and asked. He knew that after Yang Hongwu and Pan and I left, he really didn't know how long it would be before they could meet again. After all, they were his father and mother, flesh and blood. "Soon. We'll leave tomorrow at the latest," Yang Hongwu said. "Before we leave, I'll gather some forces to help you. They're the Scourge Palace and Black Fiend Town." Tianjun was shocked when he heard this. The Scourge Palace and Black Fiend Town were extremely powerful. They were both peak forces of the Tongtian continent. His father actually said that he wanted to gather the Scourge Palace and Black Fiend Town. How shocking was this? He had never thought that his father would be so powerful. Even if it was luck, it was still very shocking. However, don't be happy too early. Once these two forces are gathered, they'll form a super force. This force isn't something you can control. Moreover, without a half-step Downlord expert suppressing it, it might not be a good thing for you. Therefore, you can't control these two forces openly. They can only help you in the dark, Yang Hongwu said. Ding only then did Yang Tianjun recover from his shock. He nodded and said, "Father, I know this. These two forces were really powerful. Just one of them was already terrifying. What's more, when the two forces were gathered together, it was naturally even more terrifying. Want to control these two terrifying forces, it was impossible to do so without great strength. More importantly, the major forces of the outside world would definitely take action. Without a half-step Downlord expert suppressing it, it was impossible to resist the attacks of the outside world. This was the most important thing. If it would be a good thing if he was in charge in the dark. At the very least, he wouldn't become the target of public criticism. The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. He understood this principle very well. Father, who are you going to let control Black Fiend Town and the Scourge Palace? Yang Tianjun asked again. After all, there weren't many people in the Tongtian continent that Yang Hongwu trusted enough. Moreover, the other party needed to be strong enough. Tai Tulong? Yang Hongwu didn't quite agree with this. After all, Tai Tulong couldn't be trusted because Yang Hongwu had taken over Iron Hill Town and dealt a fatal blow to Tai Tulong. First, once Yang Hongwu left this world, Tai Tulong would probably betray him. And second, moreover, his strength hadn't reached the half-step downward realm. He might not be able to withstand the attacks of the major forces. First, even if Tai Tulong could, he was only one person. It wasn't enough to control two major forces. Tai Tulong and the city lord of Shanghai City, Shanghai Guanyue, Yang Hongwu said. But father, these two are probably very ambitious, aren't they? If father leaves this world, they definitely won't be so obedient, Yang Tianjun said. I've already considered this point. Yang Hongwu nodded. I'll leave you some methods to restrict them. That's good. Although Yang Tianjun was very confident in his cultivation talent, his current cultivation base was still somewhat weak. He couldn't contend with experts like Tai Tulong and Shanghai Guanyue, even if they hadn't reached the half-step downward level yet. There's not much time left. Have a chat with your mother. I need to reorganize the planar boat, Yang Hongwu said to Yang Tianjun. Speak. After finishing, Yang Hongwu's mind stirred and sent Pan and I out. Chapter 2016. Yang Hongwu entered the cultivation room and sealed the array formation. The entire cultivation room could be described as an iron bucket. Absolutely no one could enter and disturb him. Here at this moment, he took out the planar boat and prepared to refine the planar boat to recognize him as its master. Positioned after the fragment of the planar boat was taken out, Yang Hongwu cast a spell into it. In an instant, the planar boat and the last fragment merged together in an instant. However, to Yang Hongwu's surprise, the two fragments seemed to be fighting for control. But yes, how could Yang Hongwu let such a thing happen? The last fragment had given birth to self-awareness, which Yang Hongwu would not allow. In fact, this was also very normal. The two fragments wanted to devour each other and gain sovereignty. In fact, although the last fragment had self-awareness, it did not have the upper hand after all. In addition, there was still Yang Hongwu, so it naturally had an absolute advantage. Yang Hongwu exclaimed. Yang Hongwu frowned. After fusing with the planar boat, he wanted to completely refine it, but he found a clue. In the space of the planar boat, there was a special aura. This special aura was hidden very deeply. If one was not careful, they would not be able to find it. This wisp of aura was very similar to the consciousness from before. It seemed that the consciousness born from the fragment of the planar boat was just to cover up something. You want to scheme against me? Yang Hongwu snorted coldly. It was impossible for this special aura to hide from him. If it was someone else, they might be able to scheme against this aura. However, in the face of Yang Hongwu, it was really a fool's dream. In particular, after refining the planar boat and making it his treasure, nothing on the planar boat could escape his eyes. After all, he had the Dharma Eye of Annihilation. After the power of the Dharma Eye of Annihilation entered the planar boat, nothing on the planar boat could hide. Not to mention a mere wisp of will. Even a more terrifying existence could discover it. Even the legendary invisible will could not escape his eyes. This aura seemed strange, but it was very familiar. Tiansha. This was the aura of Tiansha. Tiansha. Yang Hongwu reached out and grabbed the wisp of aura. When he sensed Yang Hongwu's aura, he wanted to escape. However, it was impossible to escape in his own world on the planar boat. You want to leave? Dream on. Yang Hongwu made a grabbing motion with his hand, and that strand of will was controlled by Yang Hongwu in a small space. Kid, you really surprised me. That wisp of will was a wisp of the primordial spirit of the heaven demon. Now that it was sealed in a small space and knew that it could not escape, it turned into a human figure and looked at Yang Hongwu. "Kid, how about we make a deal?" Tian Sha took a deep breath and looked at Yang Hongwu. This guy was too strange. However, he had to admit that Yang Hongwu seemed to be blessed by the heavens. His luck was terrifying. Almost nobody could compare to him. Back then, Tian Sha had thought that if he could rope Yang Hongwu in, he would be able to obtain heaven-defying luck. Maybe he could borrow Yang Hongwu's luck to reverse everything. However, he failed. Therefore, he tried to kill Yang Hongwu and take away his luck, but he found that he also failed. Now, he sealed a wisp of his primordial spirit in the planar boat in order to use Yang Hongwu's luck to leave the Divine Palace and the sky reaching Divine Palace. Once this strand of primordial spirit could leave the self-defense Divine Palace, then for him, it would be a great benefit. Borrowing this strand of primordial spirit, he would be able to recover his great strength. Once this strand of primordial spirit reached a certain level, it would be able to connect with his original body and break through the seal of the self-defense Divine Palace. "What can you give me?" Yang Hongwu asked coldly. That's right. For Yang Hongwu, the item in the Heaven Demon's hand really couldn't be of much help to him. Moreover, the Heaven Demon hated him to the bone. Yang Hongwu didn't believe that the Heaven Demon would be able to let go of the enmity between them. After all, the Heaven Demon had suffered a great loss at his hands. This kind of loss was absolutely unbearable. Your foundation is too strong. It will be very difficult for you to break through. You need a lot of resources. The Heaven Demon looked at Yang Hongwu and said, I can give you the resources you need to break through. How about you take this wisp of primordial spirit out of the Divine Palace? One had to admit that this was very tempting. Yang Hongwu also knew that if he wanted to break through, he would need a terrifying amount of resources. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to bear it. It could be said that if he wanted to break through to the ruler realm, the amount of resources he needed to break through to the Tao Lord realm was much more terrifying than the amount of resources an ordinary person would need to break through to the Tao Lord realm. Your offer is indeed very tempting, but how can I believe it? Moreover, if I want to break through, the amount of resources I need isn't something ordinary people can bear. Even if you're a Tao Lord expert, you might not be able to do it. Moreover, you're just a prisoner of the Divine Palace. How can you have so many resources? For me, if I want to break through to the Sovereign Realm, the amount of resources I need is probably much more than what ordinary people need to break through to the Tao Lord Realm. This amount of resources is too terrifying. If you had so many resources, how could you have fallen to such a state? Yang Hongwu said loudly. Moreover, even if you have enough resources, I might not be able to get them if I take you out. Even if I can take you out, I'll offend Berserk War and the Divine Palace. Do you think it's worth it? It's worth it, Skyfiend said. I know of an ancient treasury which contains the secrets of unparalleled Tao Lords. When I broke through to become a Tao Lord, it was there that I acquired the opportunity to do so. It had to be said that the temptation was very great. If even an expert like the Heaven Demon cared so much about an ancient secret vault, how terrifying would it be? The ancient secret vault? Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes. Why should I believe you? Moreover, it's unknown. It's like a flower in the water. It might not be real. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.